I think I brought this up before, but do you remember the Star Trek episode with Data having the bad dreams?
Oh
And then he
gosh, yeah,
and then he
yeah.
went into a holodeck and he was talking to Sigmund Freud.
That's actually a great example. I mean, it was a little literal, little on the nose clinical, but I think that's a great example of dream interpretation from a kind of realistic standpoint, which of course we will be talking about a whole lot more in the coming weeks on Tuesdays over on Deleted Scenes channel, live from
You
Sparkling 21.
know, that would be a good Friday stream topic at some point. Dreams. Think about it.
I will. That's actually not a bad
Actually, not. We
idea.
can bring up some of the weird dreams we've had. Netter may have some too. Yeah. Okay. Think of
Well,
that.
what we were just talking about in the backdrop there. Well, as long as we're bringing it live, I can continue talking about it.
Well, if
We
you
were,
want to, it's your personal
yeah,
stuff, though. I didn't know if
yeah,
you wanted
yeah.
to share
I
it.
was talking about as a kid having a nightmare, and my mother saying to me, "Tell me what happened in the dream." Oftentimes talking about it helps you get over the fear of it. And as I described it to her, if you could imagine the dream as like a movie in your mind, if someone else were to watch that movie in my mind, there's nothing scary about it. It's like, have we gotten to the scary part yet? And I realized that the fear, the dread was not actually what was happening in the dream. It was a feeling that I had that was projected onto that narrative. And I feel like, Deleted Scenes was what got us on this conversation. Deleted Scenes was talking about analog horror and viral marketing for indie horror films and stuff like that. And realizing that you just watch it straight out, it may not make any sense. But then as other people are sharing their interpretations,
Then it
and
starts to make sense.
it starts to make sense, and then you start maybe projecting some stuff onto it that may or may not have been there. I'll tell you, that could be some scary ass crap. Skinamarink being the example we used, right? It's just weird imagery. But then when you start thinking about what it might actually represent, that's even more horrific.
Did I watch that with captions? I wonder if you should. Well, do you watch that movie with captions or not? Now I'm starting to think.
I would argue it depends on who captions it. Like, for example, we were also talking about obviously Twin Peaks, right? Who is captioning it? There's a reason that when you see, well, the original Twin Peaks and especially Fire Walk with Me, they caption the backward speak, right? Well, that's partially because you might not understand them because it's said phonetically backwards and then they reverse it, and you may still not be able to understand it. But David Lynch also likes to play around with sound levels. And at the very end, you've got that monkey that says very quietly in a whisper, Judy, right? And you could easily not understand what was being said. So it says Judy at the bottom, just to make sure what was said. So, yeah, I would say that there are times that subtitles are important, yeah.
Welcome everyone to Geeky Geezers.
Samuel Proctor's even starting in with some nightmares I've written down directly after I wake up. I'd say half of them were scary as it was while experiencing it. Okay. Yeah. But the other half, I guess not, right?
I think keeping a dream journal is a good idea. I should start doing that. But welcome everyone to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Age Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli. We're talking about dreams, which I think we should say for one of our Friday night streams. Remember, you can usually catch me Friday nights on Last Call with Troy Pacelli on his channel. So be sure.
And who knows? Maybe I try to get a stream taken down by singing "These dreams go on when I close my eyes."
What are you doing to me?
I know. I'm going to get you a copy.
Anyway, well, while we're here, I did want to mention, I think you had mentioned that Chris P thought he had left a comment on the Urban Legends, because I did a simulcast on our Urban Legends stream, and he said he thought he
we
left
couldn't find it. We looked on mine, we looked on Boomer's, and we looked on Netter's simulcasts of it, and we don't have any comments from you.
I wanted to let you know I didn't delete it, and I don't usually delete comments on my streams. There was one.
You're
time
lucky
early,
if you see him.
Well, there was
let
one,
alone erase them.
Well, there was one time early on when someone referred to me as a feminine hygiene product, and I got rid of that, which you said I should have left alone. And
Yeah, I'd leave it.
Kept poking, but
yeah. If you can get the trolls to start a conversation, that's great engagement. That is honestly what some of the big channels are doing. They are purposely baiting the other side to start crap in the chat, and once it gets going organically, that's it. YouTube sees it as a very engaging video, starts putting it out on the algorithms.
It was when we were talking about the Pattinson Batman rumors early on. When, of course, I try to track less in rumors these days, but we have one coming up tonight, which I think might hold some truth to it. But we'll get to it. But let me say hi to everybody in the chat. Let me see. We already mentioned the name.
A lot of people here today.
Here, Chris P. A lot of people. Yeah, I think we had a raid from Deleted Scenes. Thank you, Deleted Scenes, for sending them my way. Welcome, Big Al. And I do have to get with you about doing a possible Robin to Sherwood thing. I don't know how far up your book, though, so we'll have to figure out a date. You can always catch Big Al's channel. He has stuff on every other Saturday. Plus, I think he's doing a Friday stream now.
He's going to be on, and he's going to be on with us on Friday, too.
With friends of the channel.
He's going to be busy this week, yeah.
Yeah, Soundtracks is Birdman, and Deleted Scenes usually on Friday, and then he'll be on with Troy and I believe this Friday to talk about cryptids. We love a good cryptid, right?
Yes, that's what got us talking about the dreams and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
My favorite cryptid is the duck-billed platypus.
Those are real.
Oh.
But despite what Netter thinks, they're not usually teal.
Interesting. Okay. Welcome, Connie Cleary, JPRPH1, Curtis Selby. Welcome, everybody. If I've missed anybody, I apologize, but we'll probably catch you later. FKHC 2005, B. Pensek. Chris P. I think I already mentioned everybody.
Chris P. Samuel Proctor. Yeah, I had already called him out. Nate. Geek Flag with Nate Knows 73. Yes,
Rosefire, welcome.
Welcome. Haven't seen you in a while.
From every mountainside, let freedom ring with the Geeky Geezers. Yes, thank you. This is still technically, I guess, 4th of July weekend, right? So
tomorrow night we're going to have a musical Independence Day double feature on Monday night at the movies. Yankee Doodle Dandy with James Cagney, and 1776 with actually a whole bunch of people.
How long is 1776?
200 years.
No, I meant movie. I thought that was a long one, but I could be wrong. Okay.
Yeah, it might be. I'll try to get it going as quickly as possible.
Hey, but the Yankee Doodle Dandy had one of those great early Warner Brothers DVDs where they gave you, we're going to replicate a Warner's Night at the Movies, and you would get like the old newsreel, you would get a cartoon or two, and a short subject, and then they were trying to emulate if you went to the movies back in the 40s,
cool.
This is what it would have been like, and it was kind of neat. So you get like a little Looney Tunes cartoon on there and some other things. But I came on from vacation about an hour after the Dragon Slayer stream. I was really looking forward to that. Well, you can still catch it.
Yeah.
You can always leave a comment after you listen to it, too. You can always play the movie in the background if you have it and kind of try and do a live thing. Rosefire, let me see, D. Pensek. And, did I miss anybody? Zootopia, welcome.
Says, thank you for recommending Lupin the Third in Italy series.
Yes.
I'm enjoying watching Lupin and his friends up to shenanigans in a romantic and deadly location. There you go.
What's interesting about the first part of the series, I would argue, I'm not going to say his antagonist is James Bond, but he's a MI6 super spy type agent. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say who the antagonist is in the second half of this series because that'll spoil it for you. Because I think you've already run into the MI6 agent if you're watching it now. But
and
I
Samuel,
was pleased.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And part 5 is even better, as good as part 4 was. I'm going to say that. Sorry, what was Samuel talking about?
Samuel is saying, wouldn't this be the second time streaming 1776? I think I remember that before my mission 3 years ago. See, great memory, my friend. Yes, I did do a previous watch of that. I don't remember if it was my channel, if it was Netter's channel, or maybe it was Big Al's channel. I don't remember, but I just felt like, I think a musical double feature might be in order. And since Hamilton hasn't had a cinematic release yet, that's what we were going with.
Oh, you know that's coming.
Oh, probably.
But they usually have to milk it on Broadway first, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Which makes
Absolutely.
sense. And if I didn't say hi to Netter, hi Netter. But here is Geeky Geezers, and
Yep.
this is an interesting thing. We had so many stories, I had to excise some of them, but we did hold on to the Haunted Mansion one. I think Troy liked that one. It is
Yeah.
a rumor, though, but I think it's a true rumor, so we'll
Yeah.
find out when we get to it. But
They just can't help themselves.
first, we're going to talk about the good old days. And if we remember back, and I believe that this was, which summer was this? I want to say it was the summer of, when did Terminator 2 come out? 91, 92?
Let me look it up. I don't remember now.
I should have thought of that before the stream. Terminator 2 Judgment Day release date. I remember it well.
1991.
I only remember 2 movies from that summer. Maybe we'll have to talk about the movies of summer of '91 someday. But
Yeah.
I remember this, and I remember Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and that was it from the summer of '91.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter if we had no other blockbusters that summer, because this is the summer of Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which was one of the biggest movies ever, one of the biggest summer blockbusters ever. I mean, I consider this the last huge big deal action movie. I mean, we still got action movies after this. But I think this was sort of like the culmination of what started in the 80s, and then I think it's ending around here. I take it you saw this movie when it came out?
I did. And what was funny is when you said you wanted to do this for good old days, I literally, because didn't you just say that today? I literally just today received from Amazon my DVD copy of the Skynet edition of.
Okay, yeah, that's a good.
I mean, it literally, and just pure coincidence. I'm like, this is crazy.
Which one is the Skynet edition? Is it the one with the metal cover, or is it the one with the Terminator head cover?
The Terminator head cover.
Yeah, that was the later version. That's actually a good edition. It actually came with a second disc, and this was the weirdest thing. I don't know if your copy has this, but the version I had came with a second disc that gave you a full-on 1080p copy that you could put on your Windows computer. So technically it comes with an HD copy. It's just not on a Blu-ray, which I thought was interesting. But that's a good disc. I don't think I ever bothered buying this on Blu-ray because I actually like that DVD so much. I think I have a digital copy in HD, but I don't have the original because there's just a good enough DVD. Sometimes if I like a DVD enough, I don't usually replace it. But here we go. Little summary. All of y'all saw Terminator 1, where the evil robot comes from the future, the cyborg, because he has flesh skin all over him, played by Arnold. And I don't think any of you understand how big Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the 80s and especially the early 90s. He was one of the top billed stars in Hollywood. My mom was a big fan of his, so was my dad. He was kind of like, they kind of considered him like the modern John Wayne at that time. This is cool because it's science fiction, but it's got an edge to it because it's humanity fighting against this evil computer in the future. And then humanity actually starts to win against all odds in this horrible future because of a young soldier, I guess, turned leader, John Connor. And so the computer decides, let's create a time machine and send something back to kill John Connor's mother in the first Terminator. And that doesn't work. And so in this sequel, they want to send another one back in time to stop to kill John Connor when he's like a preteen, I think, right?
Yep,
and
exactly.
This time again, like in the first one, to get sent back, one to protect John Connor from the Terminator, and one to kill him. But there's Arnold.
Yep.
Peak form here, the sunglasses and everything. I remember watching this a few years back, and I had to admit, and whenever I go back and forth on James Cameron on several things, but I'll say this is a great looking movie. I think it still holds up visually. It doesn't look dated at all, in my opinion.
No, agreed.
I think it holds up. I think everything is crystal clear. It's good cinematography. The effects are still great. One of the early examples of using CG as an effect, but also using it with physical effects, practical
Oh,
effects
absolutely.
as well.
Yep.
But here we have Arnold, and of course you see him here. And of course, when you're watching this movie, and this is a spoiler, Arnold was the villain in the first movie. All right. His Terminator was the villain. And if you had gone into this without knowing any of the previews and the hype, and of course I already knew in this one he was going to be sent as protector. But if you watch this for the first time and you see this other guy come back in time and he looks looks like this, you're thinking he's going to be the protector. He's dressed as a police officer. And it's not until they fight each other the first time you realize, oh no, wait, the Arnold Terminator isn't the villain. This guy is not a human. He's a Terminator.
They were literally banking on this is a sequel. You saw the original.
Yeah.
You think that we're going to do what every other sequel does and basically just rehash.
Did not.
And they literally counted on you believing that so that they could flip the script on you. I mean, this is when you hear, and we all cringe now about this.
Subverting expectations.
Subverting expectations. Yeah. This is how you do it, and you do it right.
Yes. Because it still falls perfectly in line with what we saw in the first movie, and basically the future John Connor, I think he reprograms one of the Terminators in the future, one of the ones that looks like Arnold, and sends him back in time. So of course,
the
when
unfortunate
they see Arnold,
thing is the deleted scenes that were taken out. Luckily, this hit at just the right time because then you get DVD extras and stuff like that.
I think Laserdisc was one of the first ones to
and then special editions that put the scenes back in, which is great because there is some great lore there that helps some of the story that you might consider to be plot holes to make more sense.
And also, they spoiled that in the trailer. They always spoil things in the trailer. Once in a while, you get a great trailer that doesn't spoil, but yeah. One of the worst trailers of all time is the trailer for Dirty Harry. I suggest you check it out if you've seen the movie already. It's horrible. But Sarah Connor is back.
Rosefire makes a great comment about Sarah Connor not being a Mary Sue.
No.
But has help from the Terminators, and she isn't the chosen one. She gives birth to the chosen one, kind of like a Mary and Jesus analog.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Although I think Mary would probably wear a bra, and Linda Hamilton isn't. Yeah.
Well, she's also, everyone sees her as crazy. She's locked in an asylum at the beginning of this movie. That's why. And
let's face it does sound crazy, right? You know.
And she doesn't help herself by saying, "You're all dead. All this is gone." And it's like, that's not helping your case.
No, it absolutely doesn't, because she's acting from emotion and not being thoughtful. That is something that she does seem to pass on to her son, though, and that's putting aside your emotions, being analytical, thinking it through. Because that's what a good leader does, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, her story's kind of sad in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you realize that, we know she's not crazy because she knows what's coming, but in a way she kind of is crazy.
Because any of us who had that knowledge of what's going to happen in the future, especially something horrible that's going to happen, and knowing that you can't stop it,
she does kind of have that Cassandra complex, right? I know what's going to happen, and I can't convince any of you that this is real, right? Even to the point where in this movie, her son thinks she's crazy, right? He needs to see the evidence himself. When someone's trying to kill him, he realizes, oh, this isn't BS, this is real. And then she, he sees, the Terminator and the inside of his head and stuff like that. It's like, wow, this really is future technology and stuff like that.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. But of course we have Dr. Dyson here, who ends up being the one who's supposed to have created a lot of this technology to begin with. And of course, the whole thing was like, well, if this really happened to you when you crushed the Terminator, the first one, how come nothing was found? How come there's no evidence? And there was. It was just found on the company's property, and they covered it up. So
and anyone watching this is like, yeah, that's incredibly plausible.
Yeah, he's an interesting character because, of course, he doesn't want the world to end. He's a scientist. He wants to bring technology forward. Of course, when they reveal to him what's going to happen, he's like, I'm going to throw up. And he says, look, I can help you. I'll destroy this, but the computers, He's trying to think, so they have to blow up the entire place. So they actually try stopping the future from happening, which I thought was interesting. Can they stop the bad future? And we don't get an answer if they do succeed, but they do end up destroying the entire facility that has all this technology in it. So obviously, hopefully Skynet never comes to be. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But we have, of course, the T-1000, a brand new Terminator that was liquid metal. I thought that, I remember at the time Robert Patrick played him, and very different look than an Arnold. He's kind of sleek looking. He's not like the big, bulky, strong man, but he's also deadly.
It really culminates in, there's a scene where he's running after them. And he runs in that sprinter's, because, let's face it, professional athletes have figured out what the most efficient, way of running and running fast is. And of course, you know that a machine would mimic that. And he just does it perfectly. It was brilliant.
I never understand why they try to stop Skynet when all they are doing is just making Skynet a more effective war machine. Well, what's interesting, you wonder too, with Skynet trying to kill John Connor in the past, did he make John Connor a more effective soldier in the future by trying to do that?
What's interesting is if you extrapolate that line of thinking out to its logical conclusion, what you have is the legend of John Henry, right? The human versus the machine. Right?
I think Curtis Selby did mention Terminator 2, Terminator the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which I thought was the best sequel we could have possibly gotten to Terminator 2. I still like Season 2. Maybe some people didn't, but I thought Season 2 was interesting in how it ended. I don't want to spoil that because nobody's seen it, but it's like, is that how John Connor ends up fighting the Resistance in the future? Was it a time travel thing now? I just don't know. It just maybe that's what threw people off.
It's unfortunate because that took a branch that we never saw the conclusion of. And unfortunately, the one that we have seen is incredibly flawed and pretty much derailed the entire, franchise.
Well, all we have are branches now with this Terminator franchise.
Exactly.
Everything branches off from 2, and is this the real sequel? Is it not? Are any of them? Terminator 3 was flawed, and I know some people hate it, but I thought compared to a lot of stuff we get now, it's a competent action movie at least. But I wanted to like Salvation, but it was just, I think it could have been a lot better than it was. I heard it got hamstrung because they were going to make it an R-rated movie, and then the studio crept in last minute and said, we got to make a PG-13, and I think that hurt it a lot. I think they were... Because I like the idea of them trying to do a Terminator trilogy set in the actual War of the Machines.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
And that was the plot.
There is no point in doing these prequels that, and I'm not talking about Terminator specifically, I'm talking about all these franchises that keep doing prequels, unless you link up. This is a problem that all the Star Trek fans had. Okay, if you're going to do Enterprise, see it all the way through so that it catches up to the original series, But they never did that. And same thing with Star Wars. Let's start linking these things up, and no, they never do. Planet of the Apes looks like it might do that. And we've all wanted Terminator to do that as well.
Yeah. But Channel Proctor brought up a point. It kind of has their own loops in 1 and 2. I think it's fine as a 2-movie series. What do you think? Alien, I thought, was a good 2-movie series. Predator 1 and
I'll be honest
Predator
with you,
2, so I was okay with that. And RoboCop 1 and 2, another 2-movie series.
I think that
there we go.
The reason, though, that we're doing that is because they lose the plot after the second one. Not that there couldn't be a third movie in any of those series you mentioned. They're just not doing them right. They've lost the plot. If you don't have the original people involved and saying, yes, I had a third film that I had planned out, this is what I was leading up to.
Cameron did not have a third film because he didn't bother directing it.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
We know how he is. He would have directed it.
That's exactly right.
He didn't have anything.
George Lucas said, I have a trilogy to tell, and he played fast and loose with it, but he held it together. what's happening is you got someone doing a single movie that they don't intend to do a sequel to. They're forced to do a sequel. And then they walk away from it. Whoever takes over on the third one completely craps it all up. I'm looking at you, Jurassic Park.
What do you mean? What are you talking about the third Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park was meant to be one story.
Okay.
And they wouldn't...
are you talking about Lost World?
Yes.
Okay, that was the one I didn't like, because I thought 3... I'm not saying it needed to go on, but at least 3 is just a very simple... Dr. Grant stuck on Monster Island, and then he rescues the kid.
Specifically, what I'm talking about is Michael Crichton wrote one book. It was meant to be a single story. They made a movie. It was a huge hit. They said, we're going to do a sequel with or without you.
They didn't follow the book at all.
So he wrote a second, So he wrote a second book so that he could lay claim to the money that he otherwise was not going to get. They didn't even bother paying attention to that book. And you got this sick amalgamation over 3 movies that touch on some of the plots of what he wrote. And it's really just gone to shit since then.
We're getting off on a tangent here. This is where I'm at with
I think it perfectly parallels what we're talking about here.
Here's what I'm going to say with
Terminator.
Jurassic Park. I liked Jurassic Park. I actually liked Jurassic Park 3 because it wasn't trying to tell this grand story. It's just Dr. Grant is hired to help rescue this kid off of the island where some kid got lost there and the family needs him back. That's all it is. It's just a simple... There's no revelations about the corporation or it's just him on the island trying to rescue the kid. That's it. It's a simple side story. It doesn't offend me. I actually enjoyed Jurassic World, and this is where I'm going to lose half the audience here, but I did like the first Jurassic World because I found it completely ludicrous that they would actually now go
I can agree with.
They could go forward with the actual park and attendees would attend it. Like, this was like the original vision for Jurassic Park, and someone made it actually happen. So it's a theme park with all these guests.
Yeah.
And there are all these horrible dinosaurs, and then they start creating new dinosaurs, like genetically modifying dinosaurs.
And it's like, what was your plan here? What did you expect to happen?
Well, I expected that this was some kind of underground thing and that they were going to try using them for military purposes, and there was going to be all this side stuff that gets revealed in the sequels. Didn't happen. So that was a bunch of BS. But I thought there was some sinister stuff going on with like the one scientist who was in Jurassic World. He was in the original Jurassic Park. I thought maybe there was some, because you always had worries about these other corporations. Like remember with Newman from Seinfeld when he had the shaving cream can, he was trying to sell the DNA. I expected he was trying to get that to another corporation, and maybe that other corporation, I don't know if it was just about them making another theme park. Maybe they had worse ideas for that DNA. I don't know, but. Anyway, what could have been, what wasn't, and please no more Jurassic Park movies, but we're going to get another one, so yeah. And I don't know if we're going to get any more Terminator movies, but we have Terminator news at the end of the stream to talk about. True. But getting back to this movie, though, I'm going to wrap it up. I just thought this one scene was cool when the T-1000, that was liquid metal, and he looks all silver, and then he comes to be, and he looks across at this mannequin in this store.
Yes.
I love that scene because... part of me wonders, is it like doing a double take, or is it just not doing a double take? And I can't figure it out. Like, is he like saying, because it's almost like that's an echo of what the future machines are going to look like, right?
Well, when you understand the machine logic in the T-1000, he's analyzing. He's like, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a mannequin. That's all it is. It resembles my model. Gee, I wonder if this is a precursor, or whatever, if this is just a coincidence. It's going to be a calculation going on in the back of his mind, knowing full well that it has no direct impact on his current mission.
Right.
But it's part of his analyzing his surroundings. From the audience's perspective, it's like, ha, 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 I see, I get it,
Yeah. I wouldn't laugh at this guy, though, because he's terrifying. And he doesn't come off as terrifying up until he starts fighting the other Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're like, well, maybe he's just a guy from the future posing as... Like, I often wonder if you just hadn't known before going in if this would have shocked you when you watched it. And this would be like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Dominion, he said Lee saw all of them except for Dominion. Dominion was terrible. That was the last Jurassic Park they did. Just stay away. Even Fallen Kingdom, which I had a lot of problems, I at least liked the dinosaur auction. That had it going for it. But anyway.
There is another interpretation of this scene.
What is it?
from the perspective of a T-1000, first instinct, this is another T-1000. Did Skynet send another one back?
Oh, interesting.
Should I be working with it or against it? Oh, never mind. It's just a mannequin.
Here's what was interesting. Why didn't Skynet just keep sending more Terminators and more Terminators back in time? Oh, that's the plot of the Sarah Connor Chronicles. They're like a Terminator every other week on that show.
I think the one thing that audiences tend to overlook is that it's not that, from our perspective, it looks like Skynet realizes it failed and sent another Terminator back. No. All of these Terminators are going back at exactly the same time to different points in history.
Oh, interesting.
Because realizing that if one fails, another might succeed. In fact, I believe there was a deleted scene from I can't remember if it was the first or second movie, that would have shown both Reese and the Arnold Schwarzenegger model both going back at the same time.
Interesting. I wasn't too hot on Dominion, on the Dominion and Deep Space Nine. Well,
okay, yeah.
I got confused there.
Now we're really getting off topic, but yes.
We'll talk about Deep Space Nine another time. Anyway, but there's the cool scene with him going through the bars, and of course the psychologist from the first movie that thought Kyle Reese was nuts now thinks Sarah Connor's nuts and has her in the asylum.
Starts thinking he's nuts.
He starts thinking he's nuts because now it's been proven that yes, these things exist.
Back up a second to that scene there. We were talking just Friday night about the Corridor Crew on YouTube. They do a watch of the scenes in this movie and analyze it, and from the perspective of people that do actual 3D modeling and animation and stuff, they point out what's really, really cool about this scene. Things like how it shows resistance as he's going through it. He doesn't just pass through it without physics of like a little bit of a snap to it. And they try to reproduce these effects. They're not trying to improve them. They're just trying to reproduce them. And they realize in some cases how difficult it is. And they're using modern programs that make it easier. Some of these effects, these were the first time some of these effects were being done. So the animators had to think through things like, how viscous is this Terminator's body, and how does it meld through the, what kind of resistance and how much of a snap pull back together does it have? Those kinds of physics.
First movie, Reese says that his time displacement equipment was blown up after he was sent back. Perhaps Skynet sent something before that, then. I don't know. It's just...
Well, that's why...
No, it's confusing.
That's why in the second one they were going to be showing that the idea had originally been to see the original Terminator and the T-1000 going through at the same time, followed immediately by the other Arnold Schwarzenegger model and Dylan, both going back in time.
Oh,
of course, then you'd almost want to see them putting Cameron in as well,
Now
but
we're
that
just
would have
getting
been
a
before.
headache from thinking about all could be. But still a great classic movie, Terminator 1, Terminator 2. Highly recommend them if you've not seen them.
Absolutely.
And I hope I didn't spoil it for you. But
yeah,
we'll have some more Terminator news later, which may be good or bad, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
As far as movies go, I don't know which is worse, Dark Fate or Genesis.
Dark Fate.
I don't
Genesis
know.
was bad, but Dark Fate
Genesis.
Was like a nail in the coffin.
Yeah, Dark Fate kills John Connor, the Edward Furlong John Connor, and Genesis makes John Connor into the villain.
Yeah,
the Skynet overtakes him. I was just annoyed at both. I did feel bad for Mackenzie Davis. I thought she got a raw deal. I think
Sin says that Terminator 2 best movie ever, but she is saying that not in the Emilia Clarke way, saying Game of Thrones season 8 best season ever.
When she was saying that, she knew.
Yeah.
She knew.
Oh yeah, she was. She was winking at the audience, going, "Sorry guys, I was contractually obligated to be in this POS."
I like Emilia Clarke, who was in Terminator Genesis.
Yes,
which may or may not be the worst Terminator movie ever. It's certainly not a good
I don't hate her casting in it though.
She was fine.
I hate all the other casting in that film.
The guy I got as Kyle Reese was too bulky. I'm sorry. It's almost like he should have been playing the Terminator.
Didn't even look like him a little bit.
No.
Not even a little bit.
You could find another one that looked like... Because I guess I got the idea, like Bean was supposed to look like a haggard soldier from the future.
Yeah, yeah.
He probably had malnutrition because he was in this horrifying future.
Exactly.
Dark Fate was a tremendously wasted opportunity, and I'm still angry about it. I at least enjoyed Ish Genesis. Fair enough. Welcome, Sin's Corner, by the way. But here we go. John Landau, Oscar-winning Titanic and Avatar producer, dies at 63. Yeah. This is kind of an interesting death thing. Now we're starting to find more people behind the scenes lately. Like we had the stunt woman last week who was on the Wonder Woman series. But hold on, let me get this up to the top. I should plug in my mouse, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
But John Landau.
John Landau's getting a lot of love on social media, though. He really is.
Probably a bigger deal than. It's funny, you forget about these names. The sad thing about a lot of movie watching in modern movies, and I kind of blame the whole franchisement of a lot of series, was that in the old days, you knew who directors were, who was directing the movie, who might have even been the cinematographer. I feel like when you were a film aficionado in the past, you had more of an idea of who was behind the scenes than you do now. But to be fair, they did a lot more promotion with the people who did the stuff behind the scenes too. Like they would do like a little 15-minute featurette of the big blockbuster, and you'd say, "Here's the cinematographer, here's the director talking," stuff like that. John Landau, the Oscar-winning producer of Titanic and both Avatar movies, died of cancer on Friday, July 5th. He was 63. Landau, a longtime producing partner to James Cameron, was behind 3 of the top 4 highest-grossing movies of all time. Landau helped make history with Titanic, the first film that crossed $1 billion at the global box office. He topped that movie's record-breaking grosses twice with 2009's Avatar and its sequel, 2022's Avatar: The Way of Water. Before his death, Landau was deeply involved in the production of the Avatar sequels. Cameron is planning to fill his blockbuster sci-fi franchise with 5 movies in total, with the 5th tentatively coming out in 2031. And we know that's going to get pushed back. I'm sorry. Speaking to Variety, at the Way of Water premiere, Landau recalled screening the movie for the principal cast. When I saw them tearing up, I had to tear up, he said. At age 20 now, Landau became the executive vice president of feature film production at 20th Century Fox, where he oversaw films such as Die Hard 2, Power Rangers, The Last of the Mohicans, and 1994's True Lies, on which he worked with Cameron. When Landau left Fox, Cameron asked him if he wanted to read the script for a project codenamed Planet Ice, which Landau boarded and which eventually became 1997's Titanic. How on earth does Planet Ice turn into Titanic?
No idea. I'm sure
like
there's
a code name so people wouldn't figure out what it was.
I suspect there's a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes story behind that. I have no idea.
It was originally going to be a spaceship called the Titanic.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
They talked him down. Landau would go on to work with Cameron for the rest of his life, becoming chief operating officer of Cameron's Lightstorm Entertainment banner. He additionally was the architect of Lightstorm's ancillary projects, such as Dark Horse Comics and Penguin Random House's various Avatar print spin-offs. Landau also advised the creation of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, the well-received Ubisoft game that released in December, as well as the online multiplayer role-playing game from Tencent Games Level Infinite called Avatar Reckoning. Landau's other producing credits include 1987's Campus Man, 2002's Solaris, and 2019's Alita Battle Angel. Yeah. In a 2022 interview with The Talks, Landau said of his career in Hollywood, "I could never just sit at a desk and sign off on anything, not just as a producer, but in life. If I want to participate, I want to have a voice, I want to have an influence. I want to be able to inspire people to go beyond what they think of their own capabilities are, for them to feel pride in what they're doing. I think that's a very big thing. I never want to be that guy just at a desk anywhere in life." He leaves behind his wife, Julie Landau, to whom he was married for almost 40 years, as well as the 2 sons, Jamie and Jody Landau. He's also survived by his siblings, Tina, Kathy, and Les Landau. Those who work with Landau offered tidbits, including co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, Alan Bergman, who said John was a visionary whose extraordinary talent and passion brought some of the most unforgettable stories to life on the big screen. His remarkable contributions to the film industry have left an indelible mark, and he will be profoundly missed. He was an iconic and successful producer, yet an even better person and a true force of nature who inspired all around him. Our thoughts are with John's wife, Julie, and his family of loved ones during this difficult time. Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh, whose Weta company was the visual effects house for Avatar movies, also released a statement. We speak for the entire Weta FX team when we are devastated by the loss of John Landau. John was not only a monumental figure in the film industry, but also cherished collaborator and friend. John brought unparalleled passion to the projects he worked on, and his influence will continue to inspire for years to come. Our deepest condolences were John's family, loved ones, as well as Jim and Lightstorm Entertainment team. Yeah.
Real quick, I want to welcome Lee Anthony Davis, who says, hello to the panel and everyone on the chat. This is my first time on the channel, which was recommended by Deleted Scenes.
Oh, thank you, Deleted Scenes. Thank you, Lee, for stopping by. Lisa, for stopping by.
We hope you enjoy it here, and if you do, hit that like button and subscribe. If you don't like it, well, obviously you have Deleted Scenes to blame for that. So
and here is that picture that Troy. I know you.
Yeah,
you thought I forgot, didn't you? Okay.
I figured I'd help you out if I could. I just thought this was so sweet. Somebody shared this. There's a lot of stuff going around. There was a sweet one of Alita crying and holding up a little sign that says "Miss you, John Landau."
So he must have been heavily involved with Alita battling.
Very much, yeah. He was the financial driving force behind it. He was huge at being very open to communicating with the Alita army because he knew the fans are the ones that are going to make it happen again. So he's like, yeah, I want to see it happen. Let's try to get the things to... Oh, I agree with Sin 100%. We need another Alita. Unfortunately, I feel like John's passing is one...
more nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it makes it less likely. He was the financial backer. So, I mean, yeah, I realize Cameron could certainly make it happen still, but...
He's so busy with those Avatar movies, though. He's going to be stuck until 2031. And yeah. I just don't know if we're going to see them. I mean, I wish Disney would see the value in this franchise, because I guess they own
Disney.
Fox now.
Disney doesn't care. The fans want it. It must be bad. That's their take on it.
I still blame the press for this movie. I think the movie still did well enough, and frankly, if Disney didn't own Fox, Fox would have still tried to do a sequel, because I think it did very well in China. I think it did well enough. I think it would have did well enough over here, especially with DVD sales.
This to me is the proof that it is messaging over profit. Because it all became about Alita. And this makes zero sense, but Alita, right wing, and Captain Marvel, left wing. And we got to rally behind, the one and decry the other. And it's like, these are both films that really should not be political. They should just be making money for your company.
This is a science fiction
Make the money, make more money, make lots and lots of money.
Takes place in the future. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I loved Alita. I wanted to see the sequel because it left off in the same part that the OVA, the Japanese anime OVA did, and I'm like, oh, well, I finally get to find out what happens after this tragic thing in the OVA, and the movie kind of just ends on the same note. Like, no!
Yeah.
So I actually bought the hardcover manga set when it was on sale. And I'm just going to read it through one of these days and just read it from beginning to end and find out what happens.
And I disagree, David. Disney does know its audience. It does not want to give the audience what it wants. It wants to antagonize and push away its audience. All it cares about is it is not interested in entertaining. It is not interested in making money. It only cares about propaganda.
I haven't seen the movie, but I did see the 90s anime. It was a bit too much for me. I'll say this. The movie is a bit more. It's a bit different in tone.
It's a bit more streamlined too.
Frankly, I forgot who her love interest was named in the movie. Was it Hugo? I keep wanting to think it was Hugo. Was something like that. He was more likable in the movie, more likable character. He still is doing something wrong, but he has his reasons.
He's a little bit more sympathetic.
He doesn't, when he has a chance to do something that would greatly benefit him and hurt someone else, he decides not to do it, which showed some strength. And he tries getting out of the bad thing that he's doing. So it's not like the one in the OVA who was just, in my opinion, a little shit. But who she still was in love with, but I didn't get it. But Yeah, but rest in peace. And I'm telling you, we're losing a lot of the greats. Head, and I'm sorry, Hollywood needs talent. And one of the problems I have here, especially I think in a lot of writers' rooms now, is you don't have the talent.
Yeah. They are driving out the talent, or
Yeah.
it is dying out. Either way.
Let me see. What the heck? I'm going to read this. Speaking of Disney, a friend of mine went to an upscale mall in Dubai. Hamleys there sold modest, restyled Disney princess clothes, so Disney does bend the knee to get money on the other side. Well,
Not in the United States.
no, they do with other countries. We've seen this with certain characters on posters, which, yeah, let's not get started on that. Robert Towne, dead at 89, legendary Chinatown screenwriter, was one of Hollywood's great scribes.
This is what we're talking about. The great writers are leaving us, and we're being left with mediocrity at best.
I don't know. Well, not everything. Like I said, Deleted Scenes did a stream earlier where he's talking about something that might
Again,
be
it was the
promising.
independence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A motion picture screenplay is by nature imperfectible, and time, tide, and taste will have their say. The Oscar-winning script for 1974's Chinatown by Robert Towne, who passed away on Monday, July 1st at age 89, according to his publicist, makes its own case for being as perfect an example of the form as we may ever see. That it was the first original as opposed to an adaptation Towne ever authored, coming along at the age of 40 is itself remarkable. It's no coincidence that his great friend, Jack Nicholson, an artistic comrade in arms since they met on Neophytes in Hollywood acting class, was at the center of Chinatown's dark beauty and also of the ribald, corrosive, and mordantly funny Towne script for 1973's Last Detail. Another friend, Warren Beatty, was the centerpiece of 1975's Shampoo.
Oh, yeah.
It was a huge deal, Shampoo. I heard about it, not seen it, which joined the previous two notch Towne's third best screenplay Oscar nom in a row. Those three films alone would have guaranteed his stature as one of the great screenwriters. Witness Chinatown's ranking as one of the top three in the Writers Guild's members voting to select the top 101 screenplays ever written. Casablanca ranked first, is a not so distant cousin to it, and The Godfather ranks second, boasts a crucial scene, Marlon Brando's title character Vito Corleone passing the torch to Al Pacino's Michael. I never wanted this for you. Towne wrote that hastily inserted passage for the ever grateful Francis Ford Coppola, who thanked him from the stage while accepting the award for the screenplay he'd otherwise co-authored with Mario Puzo. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So he was a co-author of the original Godfather script. Towne wrote the very beautiful scene between Marlon and Al Pacino in the garden. That was Bob Towne's scene. Even as Towne would have been less successful with most of the other films he authored, his track record as a script doctor capable of an almost magic touch undergirds his reputation for the brilliance in the form.
And let me just say this: when someone is called a script doctor, that carries a lot of meaning. You know,
Yes.
First it tells you that the person that originally wrote the script has a great idea, but it needed to be punched up. And some of these script doctors really, really punch it up. You look at Star Wars, the original Star Wars would not be the original Star Wars without the people that took Lucas's dialogue and said, yeah, let's fix this. You know who one of those people was? Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher had some say in the script of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And that's how her career in script doctoring. She actually was an unsung hero for a lot of movies in Hollywood.
You know what's interesting? I believe this was a doctored line in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when he says, "Charlie, do you know what happened to the boy that got everything that he wanted?" And he says, "What? He lived happily ever after."
Right.
I think that was added to the original.
That absolutely was. Yes. That was not a Roald Dahl
line.
No doubt.
It says from his earliest work in the trade through the hat trick Oscar noms and on through directing jobs like 1982's Personal Best and 1998's Tequila Sunrise. That was Michelle Pfeiffer, right?
Yeah, great movie.
Yes. He puzzled out human motivations. This facility encompassed his key role of bringing character depth to the many twists of the first two Tom Cruise starring iterations of Mission Impossible. He could be resolutely insisting on holding fast to the logic of his own creations Even as he sought help from conferees if his work on Days of Thunder was more generic, he strong-armed the firm into claiming a moral heft that would have been neglected in the book. That had been neglected in the book.
Yep.
Famously, as a result of being deeply aware of the tragic residue of Sharon Tate's death, he acceded to Roman Polanski's fiat that Chinatown's ending go darker with the horrific death of a major character. I don't mean this unkindly, he said in an interview for the Great Movie Makers, but I think it was impossible for Roman to come back to Los Angeles and not end his movie with an attractive blonde lady being murdered. Towne's literary bent was kept in tune via uncredited but indisputable collaboration with his college roommate Edward Taylor, who was a steady touchstone until giving testimony regarding Towne's alleged cocaine habit in the early 1980s divorce case with wife Julie Payne. You know what's interesting? I watched a movie with Sharon Tate over the weekend. It was called The Eye of the Devil, kind of like a 1960s version of The Wicker Man. Mm-hmm. Beautiful woman.
Oh, yeah.
Like stunningly yes. Beautiful woman. But it's horrible that she died, especially in the way that she died. So, yeah. But I'm going to wrap this up with a couple more paragraphs. Lanky and bearded, often Solomon tone, but with a ready edge of sarcasm. Towne could show a professional air. He and Nicholson's oft recounted 60 scuffling days put them among the young protégés like Coppola, Scorsese, Bogdanovich, Demme, and more, who fell into Roger Corman's low-budget B-film production factory, handed the assignment to write a Vincent Price horror flick called The Tomb of Ligeia. He tried to cram some artistic touches into the hack work and would later say, no doubt half-jokingly, that he worked harder on that script than any other in his career. Also grappling for a start was Nicholson, and as fellow students in blacklisted actor Jeff Corey's acting class, they bonded. Not only did he immediately bind to Nicholson's deep actor's resourcefulness, he began studying how his friend could string out a line in a slightly halting fashion that demanded a viewer's attention. You're going to be a movie star, he told Nicholson, and I'm going to write for you. And I guess he did with Chinatown. Have you seen Chinatown?
Of course. And the two Jakes.
I have not seen the two Jakes.
Okay.
I have a confession to make. I want to say we all have that movie that everyone else loves and that we hate, and that for me is Chinatown.
Really?
I don't like it. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's not for everyone.
It's one of the great movies of all time.
Look, it is a dark film. It does
dark.
Not have a happy ending.
It doesn't have an ending that is satisfying, in my opinion.
But you know what? That's pretty realistic. You know?
I know, but it's like, Sid Field's book Screenplay is a good analysis of writing the Chinatown scripts. That's a great book. Anyone who wants to write screenplays, you need to have a copy of Sid Field's screenplay on your shelf. It's an excellent book. Just recently watched The Godfather. I don't think I would have approached the film when I was young. As middle-aged man, I love the film. That is true. Sometimes we can watch a movie older and revisit it and have a different take. Perhaps if I watched Chinatown now, maybe it would view differently. So you have a point there. But I don't know. There's also something, and I hate to say this, it's something about films made in the 1970s that try to do the 1940s period that just feels off to me. I don't know why. Maybe this is just my own peccadillo. I don't know what this is. It's just you're doing a right now.
Well, now because I'm thinking about it,
The Godfather did the 1940s, and I guess I'm okay with that.
I'm trying to project back onto it. I mean, I guess I see Chinatown and I just think this is that absolute noir type of thing that I thought it just resonated so perfectly. Kind of got that feeling when I saw Tom Conkle's Trouble Is My Business, too. You know? So, I don't know.
See, The Godfather I like all right. I think it's a good film. I think part 2, I agree. For me, it's Jaws, extremely overrated. I haven't seen Jaws in ages. In fact, we almost did Jaws for Good Old Days tonight, but then I scrapped the Lego Jaws story. Yeah. I prefer older films, especially in today's. Anyone watch Sunday Night Noir on Channel 26? I don't know, but that sounds like a wonderful time. Mark Malikoff.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Noir. And I guess Chinatown is a noir, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
I wonder if I were to watch it in black and white, if I would change my opinion. I know I'm sounding weird. I'm just gonna move on.
No, I think I've always thought that
about
Chinatown would be better in black and white.
it's just something it's something about it that gets under my skin, and I don't know what it is. And maybe that's the point of the movie. I don't know. But moving right along,
Yep.
we're kind of switching gears now. There's no segue. Speaking of the other thing I could have done a good old days on, but
Yeah.
the Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion is one of those attractions at Disney, just like what is the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Where there is just all this story. It comes from the attraction itself. It's not based on something prior. You know, it's not an adapted novel. It's not an adaptation from a movie. It was created as an attraction, and fans have come to love that thing. You know, unfortunately, Haunted Mansion has gotten a bunch of movie adaptations that haven't quite stuck the landing the way Pirates of the Caribbean has. But you know,
I didn't see the latest Disney Haunted Mansion movie.
I didn't
was
either.
It better than the Eddie Murphy one? I don't know. I don't know how the Eddie Murphy one tanked. I mean, maybe this was. I guess this is when he was doing more family-friendly stuff. If it had been like Axel Foley in the Haunted Mansion, I would have paid ready money to see that.
Yeah.
But,
and if you're going to do a Disney
type character in like the Haunted
and
Mansion.
I don't know if either of the film adaptations did this with the Haunted Mansion, but if you're going to do a Haunted Mansion, you've got to lean into the Disney Halloween feel, right? Think of
set it in the 1950s.
Well, maybe, but whatever you do with it, you got to have the not be afraid to be as scary as, for example, the Sleepy Hollow. You know, it's got to be like that.
So let's get into this. Rumor has it that a major change is heading for the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland Resort. It's a rumor, so we are. I will just giving you forewarnings. Don't say I'm treating this as necessarily fact. I think it smells, though, so that's why we're talking about it. Disney's theme parks are packed with top-tier attractions, but few have reached icon status quite like the Haunted Mansion. First opened at Disneyland Park in 1969, the dark ride put its own immersive spin on the haunted house concept, with guests boarding Amen mover vehicles known as the Doom Buggy to explore a new New Orleans mansion with 999 happy haunts. In the decades since it opened in Narland Square, the Haunted Mansion was inspired similar attractions across the globe. At Walt Disney World Resort's Magic Kingdom Park in Tokyo Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion is built in a Gothic revival style and boasts a slightly longer ride experience. Meanwhile, Disneyland Paris is home to Phantom Manor, which has a look more in line with the rest of the park's Frontierland aesthetic. The attraction itself is also tonally darker than its sister parks. It is. You can actually watch videos of people filming these rides, and I've seen them. And,
there are some great behind the scenes of how some of the different effects are done, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Defunctland is a great channel to watch with some of these things.
Right.
But also on the other hand of the spectrum, Hong Kong Disneyland's equivalent, Mystic Manor, is free of any references to ghost or death due to differences in Chinese culture. Instead, it focuses on a magic box that brings inanimate objects to life in a Victorian manner. I've seen that one too, and granted, it's not the Haunted Mansion haunted house, but it's also a brilliant take on a similar concept. So I'm not picking on that ride either. It's more like things are coming to life because of a magic box, and there's this monkey, and there's like this old explorer guy. It's its own animal, basically. But it's you also have Phantom Manor. Phantom Manor in Paris actually had Vincent Price doing some of the overspeak in it. Did you know that?
I kind of wish they all had. You can't really have a great haunted attraction without that voice of his.
Yeah, but they used it for the one in Paris. I've been to the one in Orlando quite a few times. It is one of my favorite rides of all time. It still holds up, and the fact that this was as pioneering as it was in the 60s is a testament to Walt Disney and the Imagineers of that period. The attraction, though, has even inspired two separate adaptations, one in 2003 starring Eddie Murphy, one in 2023 starring Lakeith Stanfield, Owen Wilson, Rosario Dawson, and Danny DeVito both failed to set up an office of light or impress critics and have developed cult following in their own right. Disney didn't bother advertising. No one knew it was out.
Yeah.
The other one. And why not release it around Halloween time?
I know. Makes perfect sense.
I mean,
yeah.
Just despite all the varieties worldwide, Disneyland's Haunted Mansion is so often considered the best of the lineup. It's undergone its fair share of changes over the years, with new scares and technology integrated into the attraction. And a festive overlay, Haunted Mansion Holiday, inspired the night before Christmas, was also introduced for the first time in 2001 and continues to run at the park every Halloween and Christmas. This is true. They'll add ghosts to the ride. Like when I was on it last time, I think I saw the bride ghost, and that was a new ghost they added. And she's very creepy, and she says, "Here comes the bride, all dressed in white," and she's obviously dead, and it's just, she was added to the ride, so good job there.
Real quick, I want to highlight Lee Anthony Davis's comment.
Hold on,
great point, great question. I know we've covered this before, but he's new here, and I don't mind going back to it again. Why are film corporations obsessed with identity and representation rather than making good films to entertain the audience?
Okay.
So, go ahead. You can... Yeah.
Well, this is my theory. You might have a different take. My theory is they're getting investment money from these investment firms that want DEI things in them, and they're able to check boxes off and see, look, you gave us the money to put in this movie, but now we did this that serves your DEI agenda. This is my theory behind what it all is. Because, I mean, we look at movies in the past, and you would have... How am I trying to put this? It's not like Hollywood was ever against having... I mean, they could have done better in some ways, but go ahead. Yeah.
This is... It goes far, far deeper than any, movies or anything like that. It's a huge cultural revolution. This is... If you want to understand this, you should look at... the Maoist revolution and see what happened there. This whole idea of altering the public consciousness, it's basically a big psyop, right?
It's forcing behavior.
If you can change the culture, if you could change the entertainment, if you could change the education system, you change the thinking of a whole population. So whatever it is they're trying to change society into is what they want in entertainment. And who is doing this? Well, yes, it's partially the government, but more than that, it is the power brokers behind the government, the people with the money, the big investment companies, the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, and so forth. And what they do is they institute something called a social justice rating, right? And you get scores based on, what check boxes, and you'll hear different channels talk about check boxes all the time. Is there black representation? Is there gay representation? How many of this? How many of that? Are there enough females? Are there whatever? And the story is irrelevant to getting those things in. And if there's some way to have a romantic character that's gay, well, we'll just swap out that romantic character with a gay couple and make sure that happens, and definitely make sure it happens in all the kids' cartoons and all the Disney films, because we want to take over a whole generation's mind and spirit. That's what it's all about.
This is the working understanding we have of the situation. Keep in mind that none of this stuff is broadcast publicly. We have to dig it out, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, there's citizen journalists that have been doing this too, as we've
seen.
But
bringing it back to this specifically is you also have a related but overlying layer here, where you have Bob Iger in charge of this studio, and he had political aspirations, so he had political reasons to push the DEI and make himself look all inclusive and look, like he cared about, these intersectional groups. And so what you then end up with is every little pocket of people that might be offended, you've got to find a way to smooth out your attraction so that they won't be offended. This is why they completely destroyed Splash Mountain and changed it into, the socialist co-op, celebration of slavery, is what it really is.
Well, look, Princess and the Frog, I'll defend it. It's a good Disney movie. But the problem
that has nothing to do with the ride that they have created, though. In fact, if you look at the ride, it is directly offensive to the people that they mean to be representing by it. If you understand what a salt mine is and the history of those salt mines, you basically have turned what's her name? Whoever the main character is. Tiana. You've turned Tiana into a slave owner, is what you did. Congratulations.
All I know is that they didn't use their great villain from that movie in the ride because they don't do villains anymore. They don't know how to make villains anymore for Disney.
In another article on that we didn't get into, they completely altered the story of the Princess and the Frog because they wanted to stay away from anything voodoo related.
Well,
and then they blame it on right-wing conservative Christians, and most conservative Christians are going, but they're the bad guys. We don't have a problem with you depicting voodoo when it's the bad guys.
Look, here's the deal. They never nailed on the head what he was using. Was it voodoo? Was it hoodoo? Which I think is another thing that is a different.
Well, they
thing.
Certainly didn't want to get that granular, but yes,
it was cool in the movie. You had Keith David having that wonderful song number in it, which I actually thought should have been a full-on song number. It's almost like a spell, though, the way it's.
It
had a very jazzy, bluesy,
don't even get me off on trying to blame Catholics or whatever, because for crying out loud, you had no problem putting out the movie. You had no problem depicting voodoo, hoodoo, whatever you want to call it, in that movie. And guess what? You also have your fairy godmothers. You got all the other magic.
She was the other side of that.
It's like, for crying out loud, all of this magic, why aren't you cutting it all out of everything and blaming the Catholic Church? Because nobody has a problem with it. This is constructed, fabricated BS. It's like the people that are getting upset with how the Islamophobes are coming at them on social media, and we're going, really? Because we're looking at your social media and we don't see a single thing. Bring the receipts.
Look, the whole issue with that whole ride, too, was people love the Splash Mountain ride, but if it had simply been done like, Splash Mountain, like if they do it like Universal, where they'll eventually remove the cherished attraction, but in the purpose of putting another cherished attraction in its place. Like, I loved the Back to the Future ride, but eventually it was time for it to go, and they replaced it with the Simpsons ride. And the Simpsons ride was great, and eventually that will be replaced with something else. But it's not done in a way that denigrates the old ride, but that's what they did. They said, look at the points we're getting for doing this. That's what bothered me. It's not that I have anything against Princess and the Frog. I think it's at minimum a good Disney movie. It has the last great Disney film I ever saw in a movie too. Yeah. And that was the last traditionally animated movie they ever did, and it did not do on the box office. That's the thing. Disney's all singing its praises now. They weren't really talking much about it when after it came out and didn't do so hot. They were like, it's just ridiculous.
So that brings us back to the Haunted Mansion and this idea that they're fabricating a concern by people that honestly should not be dictating to the rest of the world what kind of entertainment we receive. This is the problem, okay?
We should get into what the issue is too.
Go ahead. Yeah, before I start making my argument. Good point.
Because this is hold on. Closed to immerse guest enhanced theming. They said they're going to close it down. But those will not be the only changes heading into the rumor has it that when guests experience the regular version of the attraction again, most likely in 2025, as the ride will be in Haunted Mansion holiday mode when it returns later this year, it may do so without one familiar scare. Fans are abuzz on Reddit that Disney is currently in the process of removing the hanging corpse seen in the stretching room before the guests board the ride. Haunted Mansion's disembodied ghost host points out that As the room has no doors or windows, it has no way out. Of course, he adds, there is always my way, with the lighting then illuminating a hanging corpse hanging from the ceiling. There have been rumors that Disney removed this effect from the attraction in order to be more sensitive and not trivialize suicide. Some guests have complained that this scene feels particularly triggering, with petitions even set up in the past. Disney is well aware of these complaints. Back in 2020, Michelle Hobbs, who worked as a producer on Walt Disney Imagineering and previously managed the refurbishment of the attraction, told Los Angeles Times, the scene's removal has been discussed for sure, and that is definitely something we're thinking about. So it's just, it says nooses have been removed from other versions of the Haunted Mansion in the past. Nearly all nooses were removed in the Phantom Manor at Disneyland Paris in 2023, except for the one that appears in the stretching room scene. Listen to me. This is a horror ride. It's supposed to have things in there that are creepy and make you uncomfortable. That's my take. You have a take? You're going to say something. Okay.
No, absolutely true. Here's the thing. Again, this comes back to this whole, we've got to sterilize and sanitize things for the small minority, right? I had this same problem 4 years ago, right? This whole thing where you've got to get this injection and you've got to wear a mask and you've got to do all these things to protect all the people out there that might be immunosuppressed and otherwise, are at risk and so on and so forth. And it's like, hold on a second. You remember the boy in the plastic bubble, right? Remember back in the 70s, the kid that had no immune system. Do you remember how everybody in the world had to live in a bubble to protect him? Yes. No, because that's not how this works, people. If you have a situation, very sorry for you, but you need to deal with it yourself. If this is going to be triggering for you, don't go to that ride. Don't go to that haunted house. Don't do the thing. We don't, sterilize it for your benefit.
Oh, this is a what ride, Boomer? I said it was a horror ride, not a hua ride.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
That's how they say it on The Sopranos. You got to say it that way.
I mean, I think it's stupid, but if you want to put a trigger warning on it, just a warning that, this is a horror ride that may be...
Well, it's a haunted house. And to be fair, I think it's still as family-friendly a haunted house as you can make. But you can't remove all the teeth from it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Right. Exactly right.
It's Walt was all about wholesome family entertainment. That's what he was about. Okay, seeing a hanging corpse. Okay, yes, it's creepy.
Yeah.
Is it gonna say, I guess gotta put a noose around my neck?
And the implications are ominous, right? He's basically saying the only way out of here is to die, right? That is creepy. But let's face it, in the spirit of what you're doing, this is a Disney ride. You're gonna come out the other side, and the sunlight's gonna be there, and
I'm so grateful I grew up in the 80s some days. This is just one of them. When I was in the 80s, I had this wonderful board game called Shrieks and Creeks. It was made for kids. But just because it was made for kids, you're still in a haunted house. And like when you got to some part in the board and you played the tape, the guy would say, would you, Boris has dug up a little snack. And it's obviously insinuating that he dug up a corpse and is eating it. It's just... It's those little things when you're a kid, like the forbidden, do kids not have that now? I mean, is everything like pasteurized and completely safe and dull and bland? I mean, I just don't get it. Everything is triggering to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Big Clue is in the ride Haunted. Sorry for the sweat hog humor. We're all about the sweat hogs here. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's okay. Like I said, though, Sopranos taught me the right word to say, the right way to say the other.
Hooah. Yeah, exactly.
Hooah. Which almost sounds like Pacino saying hooah.
Hooah.
Anyway, let's move on to some important news. None of this Disney nonsense. Let's talk about something important.
Oh, for fuck's sake. It's the movie that will not die, for fuck's sake.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
It's ridiculous.
It's
It's
been
just
2 years
ridiculous.
since Zack Snyder fans had their prayers answered with the release of his cut of Justice League. Now the famed comic book director has taken to social media to tease fans with the possibility of Justice League getting a theatrical release.
Yeah.
On July 2nd, Snyder issued a temperature check of sorts with DC fans and their affinity for his version of Justice League on his official Vero account. In the post, which was accompanied by a black and white still of Ben Affleck's Batman, Snyder cryptically wrote, "Want to see Zack Snyder Justice League on the big screen? Stay tuned for a date." IGN has reached out to Warner Brothers for clarification on this cryptic post. The film's journey into being came after a fan campaign demanding Warner Brothers release the Snyder Cut. I wonder how big of a fan campaign that was, or if that was just smoke and mirrors. We'll never know, I guess, right? Did we do something on that about bots being involved?
Look, even if the original Snyder Justice League was a good movie, all these different versions. Let's re-edit it. Let's add the footage. Let's black and white it. It's like, for crying out loud, they're doing to this the same thing that Lucas did to Star Wars, but this is worse because at least the original Star Wars people loved. Okay. This has never had the success. It is a small niche group, a very loud friggin' niche group. Okay. They've already moved on. We're already into hell. We're barely puttering along with the Pattersons. We are now on to the James Gunn verse. Now, give it up already.
To be fair, I since Quarter must have seen it, and there are other people I've heard that did like the Snyder Cut a lot more than what we got with Whedon. Maybe it was better. I just think it's bizarre that it was filmed it was 4:3 instead of in widescreen, and I don't completely get that because it's a modern movie. I don't, get me wrong. I think the 4:3 ratio is an underrated ratio, but I don't know. I'm sorry if you've fast. Thank you everyone for the chat, for making me feel welcome. Looking forward to returning to your next live stream. Bye for now. Well, see you later, Les.
You can always catch the rest of the stream. I mean, the stream will still be up. You can always Memorex us.
Well, like I said, I haven't seen it, but maybe it deserves this big screen treatment. But have people?
The other thing is, I never warmed to it because that was never Superman, that was never Batman.
Well, maybe they made him better in this version. Maybe maybe it fixes everything. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I should.
The way it fixes it is to not see it, in my opinion.
Well, you can watch that. But here's
this is
another
not
thing too.
Superman.
It's been an HBO Max exclusive, according to this article, for years. So, I mean, is this going to be like a Fandango one night only sort of thing, where it's on screen for? Some argue that you should watch it as a mini series, like you watch, and even has like chapter titles.
Well, did it get a DVD release? I could totally see this being released in physical media so that the fans of it can get the thing.
I don't know. I think it
should.
Did.
Yeah.
I think the library got it.
I have nothing against them releasing something and making their money.
I think that at this point, though, you have Snyder fatigue. Is that what you're saying?
And Matanui makes another great point. It is a 4-hour movie. This is something theaters now have to consider. Do we have a 4-hour film taking up seats where we could get 2 other films in, that might have a bigger audience?
I've never attacked any of these castings. I know some other channels hated Henry Cavill. I thought it was more.
I had nothing wrong with.
Yeah.
Actually, if they had written these characters correctly, any of these actors would have been perfectly fine in the roles.
And Ben Affleck, I thought, people picked on him, but I thought actually no, his Bruce Wayne wasn't bad.
My biggest problem with Ben Affleck. Nothing against Ben Affleck, but they went for the older, more seasoned Batman. And no, he should be about the same age as Clark,
It was weird because when I saw the Whedon, because I did see the original cut in the theater, but it was almost like they were toying with the idea that this Batman could have been the one from the Michael Keaton movies, because they made a reference. Oh, I guess this is not as bad as you stopping robot penguins or something. And I was, is that a? Well, I guess there were no robot penguins in Batman Returns. I think they had some kind of thing attached to their heads, right? I don't remember now. But
well,
I often had
whatever
the
it
impression
was,
that maybe it was the same Bat, supposed to be the same Batman.
Unfortunate, and then when they bring in the Flash movie,
well, that was
it has all become such a twist of plot, choose your own adventure, pick what you consider to be canon. It's so effed up. I just don't have the wherewithal for this anymore.
At any rate, this will get this apparently might get a theatrical release, and maybe they'll split it into 2 parts. I don't know if it's too long. Maybe they'll do a part 1 and a part 2.
I don't know. I'd love to see how the cinemas react to it.
I don't think I want to see Ezra Miller ever again, though. I'll say
right.
That.
Nobody's clamming for anything that brings the Flash.
Alfred said remote control penguins. Okay, and was that in Batman Returns? The penguins.
Yes,
were
it was.
Control? Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a reference, I think, to Batman Returns, and they even had the Elfman music playing for Batman because Elfman wrote the score to Justice League. So I often thought it was kind of a soft callback to that. You could imagine that this was the Batman from those movies.
No,
or at least they were in similar.
Curtis, I'm sorry, Curtis, you're wrong.
Uh-oh.
He said I could accept an older Batman because the original Batman versus Superman graphic novel had an older Batman versus a younger Superman. No, what they did was they decided to tell the story of the Dark Knight Returns. And they said it at the beginning of Superman's career when they should not have. This needed to be a story that was told many years down the line after you had established a long history of a friendship between Superman and Batman. He couldn't even interpret the source material. He took a bunch of famous comics, threw them in the blender, and hit what the fuck. And that's what we got.
Superman Doomsday was in there too.
Oh yeah, and then threw in Doomsday as well. Death of Superman.
Anyway.
It's like, these were all stories that should have been separate, and they should have been timed with character development in between. They couldn't manage that.
I will say this to you, Sin's Corner. It was the extended of Batman versus Superman that I had seen, and from what I had heard, it was an improvement over the theatrical version, because at least in the extended version, when Congress gets blown up, Superman is rescuing people out of the bombing damage, whereas I believe in the theatrical version, he just looks sad and flies off and doesn't help anyone. Which
yeah, exactly.
I think they did for time, But anyway, let's move on. This is still causing contention, and we just have to wait.
This is why I say that just let the damn thing go. Okay. There is no future for this thing.
Anyway, we'll have enough fights to happen next summer, because apparently there's already stuff coming up. Are people complaining about Mr. Terrific? I heard that was buzzing online, and I'm like...
That's the only thing that I didn't think looked bad.
The movie's not out yet, so I don't know how he's being portrayed. Plus, you're saying this out of scenes that you've seen, so like pictures shots.
Well, behind the scenes.
Yeah, so we don't even know if that's going to look what it's going to look like in the final version anyway. But here we go. Let's move on to another movie that was contentious among some, but I really liked. Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League. So this is the sequel to the original Batman Ninja. And what do you see here?
The Joker.
No.
No?
That is Devil King of the Sixth Heaven, Lord Joker.
Oh, okay. Well, excuse me.
There's Gorilla Grodd. Well, you know what? I'll read the article. I'll explain it all to you. He's got a mustache too, which just goes to show. Batman 66. Cesar Romero. I don't want to shave my mustache. We'll just put white makeup over it.
Yeah, just but here it's green.
Just make his mustache green.
Accepts it. Yeah.
They should have done that in Batman 66. That could have been the compromise. Cesar Romero doesn't want to shave his mustache. Just make his mustache green. There's no rule saying the Joker couldn't have a mustache. I know it's not the classic look, but I would have been okay with that rather than them painting. And you can see the mustache under the makeup.
It is so funny. Yes, it is so funny.
Oh, okay. Anyway, let's move on. I know he could have shaved the mustache, but that was probably a part of the contract. I will not shave my mustache. Okay, we've seen a lot of different interpretations of the Dark Knight over the years. We certainly have. In the live-action universe, Robert Pattinson is the current wearer of the cape and cowl, while Amazon Prime will unleash a new animated series focusing on the Bat next month. Warner Brothers wasn't finished in creating new projects for Batman, however, as the studio had announced earlier this year that a sequel to Batman Ninja was on the way. At this year's Anime Expo, Warner Brothers Japan shared a first look at Batman Ninja versus the Yakuza League, pitting Batman against twisted versions of some of his greatest allies. What? Yakuza League? Let me see. From the new promotional material, it appears as though Batman will be taking on the Green Lantern, Jessica Cruz version, Aquaman, The Flash, and Wonder Woman. Of course, these aren't the heroes that DC fans have come to know, as they are all sporting new dangerous looks and have seemingly fallen to the dark side, much like the original Batman Ninja animated movie. Bruce is wearing a different costume that reflects his new setting in feudal Japan. The first movie of this Wild series saw Batman taking on some of his greatest foes who received similar makeovers to the Dark Knight. Even though taking on the Joker, Gorilla Grodd, and other Gotham villains was tough on its own, taking on an evil Justice League will be a whole different question. It goes on to say the first Batman Ninja film is available to stream on Max, and here's how the platform describes the animated adventure that features Bruce Wayne in a very unique setting. Japan's finest artists reimagined Batman and his adversaries in this groundbreaking anime feature. In an all-new story, the Dark Knight travels to a land ruled by sword-wielding samurai and ninja assassins. Beginning in Gotham City, Gorilla Grodd's time displacement machine malfunctions, sending a crazed cast of tyrannical villains back in time to terrorize medieval Japan. The most depraved is Lord Joker, who seeks total domination of the feudal state and the final elimination of the legendary Batman. Can the Caped Crusader gain the advantage without his signature technology to keep Lord Joker and the others from rewriting history? Watch as an ancient legend comes to life in this stunningly realized, adrenaline-fueled addition to the Batman saga. I did watch the original Batman Ninja. I did enjoy it a lot. There's just a problem. The English dub and the Japanese version, from what I've heard, have completely different storylines. I watched it in the original Japanese with subtitles. Turns out that when they were making the movie, Japan was making the movie, the script writers for the American version wanted the Japanese script to work off of for the American version, and they got like a page from the animators in Japan. Because apparently the way they were making this movie, and I don't know if this is how other anime productions are done, they do the animation first and write the script after. Which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what I was told. So they had to work with very little of knowing what the movie was about and go off the animation when they got it.
Sure.
So I think it almost comes off as a completely different movie. But well, you say that, Geek Flag, but is it an Elseworld? Basically, Batman gets sent back in time to feudal Japan, and because Gorilla Grodd created a time machine, and all the Batman villains are now feudal lords in Japan because
it kind of is an Elseworld. Let's be honest.
I don't care. I liked it. It's weird, and I liked it. And Batman is still
Batman. I do think this does kind of,
and the entire Bat family is there too, not just the villains.
It is the flavor and spirit of the Elseworld, right? What is the Elseworld? But it takes the classic DC characters and puts them in different times and places,
yes.
Right?
But there's an explanation. Gorilla Grodd created a time machine and was using the Arkham Asylum inmates as subjects, and then Batman interferes and the time machine goes off, and the other characters get sucked in time.
It obviously is not mainline DC story, so it has to therefore be an Elseworld.
Well, you have a giant Batman robot created, I believe, by flying bats, and he helps a ninja clan, and then he fights a giant Joker robot, and it has Gorilla Grodd, who is the greatest DC supervillain, so I'm happy that he was in this. Yeah. So,
look, I this isn't my kind of thing. You guys all know I know next to nothing about.
Some people in the chat don't like it either, but I
know next to nothing about anime in general. But I'm guessing there is absolutely a market for this. The last couple videos that Sasha over on Casually Comics has done has been about something called Suicide Squad Isekai. And apparently, yes. She's liking that, and it's like
I haven't watched it, so I can't comment on it. I don't know if it's done by this same team or somebody else. I remember Warner Brothers had me.
It looks like a different visual style, so I'm guessing it's different.
Because this is done like it has a hand-drawn look, but it's also kind of 3D.
Yeah.
So again, some people just don't like this style. I just happen to like it myself, and it was weird and I liked it. But Batman at the end of the day is still Batman in it, and he's got the whole Bat family with him. Catwoman's there too. It's just, I don't know. I enjoyed it. It's weird. And keep in mind that I believe that the primary market for this, while they, of course, they sold it over here, it was a Japanese market. I think let's have Japanese animators let's make a Batman movie for Japan and have the Japanese animators kind of work on it and do their own thing. And despite all that, Batman is still at his core the same character. Like at the end of the movie, he could kill the Joker, but he doesn't. I'm just going to take you back and put you back in the asylum. Yeah. So he doesn't do that. It's just funny seeing him in feudal Japan and how he works with it, though, because it's like, how is he going to work without the gadgets? How is he going to adapt? But he does, because he's Batman,
right?
You know, so. And he finds a ninja clan that is a bat-themed ninja clan, and they said that they had a prophecy that a man like him would show up dressed as a bat, and they would follow him, and it's all this weird stuff, and I enjoyed it. Maybe some people didn't, but it's fine.
Just in defense of the Elseworlds, I've been reading the Elseworlds since the very, very first Gotham by Gaslight, when it was first published, and it's a mixed bag. Some of them are great, some of them are terrible. You know, I mean, even some of them that are like, wow, this is a great idea. As you dig into it, it's like, okay, you were a little too on the nose. The one I think of is Batman, what is it? Darkest Night, where it's what if Abin Sur found Bruce Wayne on the eve of, you know, him becoming a bat, you know, the bat coming in. So just as he's talking to his father, the statue of his father, the representation of Abin Sur comes through it and says, Bruce Wayne, you are needed. It's calling Bruce Wayne instead of Hal Jordan, but this is at the exact same moment that the bat crashes through the window. So he becomes Batman using the power of the Green Lantern ring. Okay. Brilliant idea, but then they go the extra mile where they have to combine all of the Green Lantern villains with all of the Batman villains. And it's so on the nose and so ridiculous. And just to spoil a really poorly written story, by the end of it, they send the Guardians of Oa send the entire Green Lantern Corps after Batman, saying, your job is to patrol this whole sector. It's not just to defend Gotham. And he's like, screw you. His willpower's so strong, the other Green Lanterns can't stand up to him. So the Owens decide to give Green Lantern rings to Flash, Wonder Woman, and Superman, who then go up against Batman. And they fight to a standstill, and they're like, well, you know what? Maybe Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman go out and, you know, defend the sectors of space, and Batman can just take care of, you know, Gotham and Earth and what, I don't know. It was stupid waste of a great story idea. And yet, by the same token, Gotham by Gaslight was brilliant. You know,
I'll talk to you about it after the stream because I don't want to know who the killer is. I'm not going to reveal it on the stream. But I watched the animated version of that, and I hated the animated version. The animated Gotham by Gaslight. But to be fair,
I can't speak to that.
They might have messed up the ending. They might have messed it up in animated form, so that could have happened. Yes. So
very, very likely.
Yeah. But anyway, if you're into these quirky, very bizarre Batman in feudal Japan, and now apparently fighting a Yakuza League, because I guess time got altered regardless when he came back into the present. I did like that. One thing I liked in the teaser, though, is says, it's a Yakuza League, and then Batman says, this is a bad joke. That's what he said, which I think is fair. I was very angry, though, because I did make it... Warner Brothers had the people that bought the DVD, they gave us a little code inside and says, we want you to fill out an exclusive survey. What DC characters would you like given this anime style treatment? And I basically said this: Wonder Woman. I want a Wonder Woman big budget animated movie. That's what I want to see.
No kidding.
That's
right.
I'd like to see how they would treat her, because I liked how they drew Catwoman in this movie. I'll just say that. But
there you go.
Okay. Yeah. But there we go. Moving on to, I want my MTV, unless you want articles that are no longer on the site.
Well, we'll get to that, but let's go with this article first. Yeah.
What article?
I just posted it.
What did you paste?
That one? No, yeah, no, you're on it.
Oh, that's the right one. Yeah.
There's two articles.
I know there are. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is the one that goes dark, and I said, unless you want to get articles, then you're out of luck, or are you? We'll get into that
Right.
later.
Exactly.
Paramount Global has removed content from CMT's site. More than 2 decades worth of content published on MTVnews.com is no longer available after MTV appears to have fully pulled down the site and its related content. Content on sister site CMT.com seems to have also met a similar fate. In 2023, MTV News was shuttered amid the financial woes of parent company Paramount Global as of Monday, trying to access MTV News articles on MTVnews.com or MTVnews.com news/news resulted in visitors being redirected to the main MTV site. The now unavailable content includes decades of music journalism, comprising thousands of articles and interviews with countless major artists dating back to the site's launch in 1996. Perhaps the most significant loss is MTV News' vast hip-hop related archives, particularly its weekly Mixtape Mondays column, which ran for nearly a decade from the 2000s to 2010s and featured interviews, reviews, and more with many artists, producers, and others early in their careers. Former MTV News staffers posted on social media about the website shutdown and the scrubbing of the archives. So MTVnews.com no longer exists. 8 years of my life were gone without a trace. Patrick Hoskin, former music editor of MTV News, wrote on X, all because it didn't fit some executive's bottom line. Infuriating is too small for a word. I have a question. Do they have to pay royalties on any of these articles? Could that be a financial reason why they took them down? I mean,
oh gosh, I hadn't even considered that. I don't know.
What's the reason for removing them then? I mean, I don't know the journalists get
usually not. Yeah, usually it's.
It must have been a financial reason of some sort, but that's rather horrifying that this is history that they just demolished.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think so. I don't think this is like things like creating characters for comic books and stuff like that. I think as a journalist, when you write an article for an outlet, it's a one and done. That's all there is. So, yeah, it's owned by MTV. Yes, they have the right to take it down, but they have no impetus to do so.
Geek Flag says he thinks it was for tax purposes.
Could it still be generating income for them that they would have to take it down for tax? I'd need more to go on that. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Sickening and derogatory to see the entire MTV News archive wiped from the internet. Crystal Bell, culture editor at Mashable and one-time entertainment director of MTV News, posts on the next decades of music history gone, including some very early K-pop stories. This is disgraceful. They've completely wiped the MTV News archive. Longtime Rolling Stone senior writer Brian Hyatt commented, decades of pop culture history research material gone, and why.
See,
I want the journalists to realize that these corporations, especially the ones that we don't like, they're not on your side either.
Yeah, this is the other thing. This goes back to the question earlier about the DEI and all this kind of stuff, and what I was saying about that. I think the destruction of pop culture also is the destruction of history.
Yeah.
There are reasons that these corporations go, yeah, the history of anything we don't want you to know about, we need to make go away.
It's
I
interesting.
think that's what it is.
Yeah, it might be. But some of us know the MTV articles may be available through internet archiving services like Wayback Machine, but according to Hyatt, older MTV News articles do not show up via Wayback Machine. In May 23, the Paramount Global shut down MTV News, which had already been severely downsized by layoffs in recent years, coming amid 25% reduction in workforce across Showtime, MTV Entertainment Studios, and Paramount Media Network groups in the United States. The group is headed by President and CEO Chris McCarthy, who is in late April was named one of the top 3 co-CEOs running Paramount Global's Office of the CEO. MTV News began in the late 80s with The Week in Rock, a show hosted by Kurt Loder, who became the first MTV News anchor. I remember that. Do you remember that?
Yeah. The other thing that I'm thinking about this too is if you have a bunch of layoffs, there's an upkeep, of your website and your archives. Maybe they just don't feel like putting the resources in. So they're like, well, I'm laying off all these people. You know what I'm going to lay off is the people that work in the archives, and let's just scrap this whole thing,
Oh, I didn't think about that. Like the librarian types, the archivists.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a track when you're studying libraries.
We're not making any money off of this, so let's just get rid of that.
Yeah, I hate to say this is almost like a certain other company that fired a bunch of people over at TCM, Turner Classic Movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name names. Warner Brothers. I'm sorry, Warner Media. I shouldn't even say brothers. It's Warner Media now. But
Right.
Internet Archive creates searchable MTV News database after Paramount deletes entire site.
There you go.
So again, the fans, I guess, are doing the regular Joe is doing the work that the
because these people, like I said, are not concerned about the financial aspects to it. They are concerned about the history of it. So,
and we all they own physical media, but the trouble with articles like this is there may not even have ever been a physical.
There is no physical media to hold on to, right?
Last year, MTV News was shuttered amid layoffs at parent company, and last week, former MTV News editor Patrick Hoskin noticed that the music publication's website had been taken down, erasing decades of celebrated music journalism. Now, the Internet Archive has come to the rescue with a searchable MTV News database. The database has 460,175 web pages previously published at MTV.com news dating back to the website's inception, 1996. Paramount also deleted content from CMT, Comedy Central, and TV Land websites as part of a broader website changes across Paramount. We've introduced more streamlined versions of our sites, driving fans to Paramount Plus to watch their favorite shows. Don't get me started on Paramount Plus. Yeah, but not Star Trek movies, probably. Anyway, I'm sorry. Anyway, last month, Sherry Redstone's National Amusements, Inc., which controls Paramount Global, called off merger talks with David Edelson, Skydance Media. More on that later. And it's now reported looking to cut $500 million from its annual costs while it explores selling parts of the media empire. It's unclear Paramount plans to sell MTV or its other cable channels like Nickelodeon. But today it was revealed that the company may offload BET for $1.6 billion to the network CEO and CC's Capital Chin-Chu. Meanwhile, after Barry Diller's IAC emerged today as a possible new buyer of Paramount, the merger with Skydance apparently happening after all. More on that in a little bit. So I guess we have this Internet Archive that you can now go to. Does it have everything? That's what I'm curious about. Or they just say
it seems to imply it.
Part of the way
that Internet Archive does it is to literally crawl and copy everything, and back up everything, literally everything on the internet. So sometimes they will lose access to things like links, especially links to pictures and things like that. But the pure web page data, they've got.
I just had a thought. Paramount is trying to be sold. What if they're going to completely shut down MTV because no one wants to buy it? Interesting. I don't know. Twin Peaks is in Paramount Plus. That's true. It is. The new and old show are on Paramount Plus. So that's one. And I'm not going to say everything about Paramount Plus is bad. I like Tulsa King, and I'm hoping season 2 will be decent. But I just feel for what they're charging. Forget about it. I have other ways to watch Twin Peaks. I don't need Paramount Plus.
True.
I've used Internet Archive.
I have multiple versions of physical media of that. I don't just own physical media on the stuff I love. I own all the physical media of the things I love.
I own digital media of Twin Peaks.
There you
Actually,
go.
no. I think I have the original series still on DVD. I don't think I got rid of it, so I think I have that. I've used Internet Archive quite a bit, mostly for reading old primary sources for history and sometimes certain movies and shows that aren't available anywhere else. Cough, cough, Really? I'll have to check that out. So, yeah. But this is kind of a scary time, though. They would just eliminate all these news articles, and you wonder if the news outlets could someday do this, too, like the other news outlets.
Yeah, and speaking of, Song of the South, you can get a hold of a 4K restoration of it out there on the high seas. Yeah. You
know what? I also would like a 4K restoration of the original theatrical versions of Star Wars, and maybe they exist on the high seas.
Maybe I can help you out with that.
Because I'm selling Disney right now. You want to? If I want to signal that they're trying to right the ship and do right by the Star Wars,
that would be the way to do it. Yeah.
This is your first thing, theatrical Star Wars releases on
that DVD, would be the first 4K. Step in earning back goodwill of the fans. But I'm telling you, Disney has no interest in doing that. Anyways. So it's not going to happen. But yes, you're absolutely right.
I did want to make one point, though, that I almost forgot to mention. I remember I was doing research on a project, and I was looking for an episode of the old Donahue show that I believe was it on MSNBC? Like, he had a resurgence, and I think he was on one of those channels. I think it was MSNBC. And I was trying to find, because I knew I had seen something on one of these shows, and I was trying to quote it in an essay I was writing, and I couldn't find the episode anywhere. And then I found out that it was completely scrubbed because they kicked Donahue off of the channel after he came out against the Iraq War, and they scrubbed all the I think they scrubbed the archives of the show. You can't find his new show from there anywhere. Maybe you can now, but you couldn't at the time I was looking for it.
That's that. Yes. There is increasingly amounts of lost media. There is and at this point, I can't remember if it was Saturday Night Live or Mad TV. It could be either one of them. Actually, it could even be in living color. I don't remember which one, but it was a sketch that they did. One of those fake commercials, parody commercials. And it was riffing on the whole concept of the multi-bladed razors, And it said this one has like 17 blades, and the first one removes the hairs, and then the third one pulls the hairs to get underneath the skin. Then the next one removes the skin, and the next one cuts into the bone. And it's all absurd. It's not out there anywhere. You can't find it anywhere.
Yep.
So if there isn't physical media in existence out there, like I said, you kind of have to create your own before it's gone,
Yeah. Moving right along, Neil Gaiman accused of sexual assault.
Yeah, now we're seeing, and this is going to keep happening, guilt without proof, accusations, everybody cancel him because somebody said he did a bad thing. He may have done so. I don't know. But I happen to be one of those people that doesn't judge until the proof is out there.
And I've had some issues with some things Neil Gaiman said,
I'm not saying he's a good guy either. I'm saying
this doesn't mean that he is guilty of what he's being accused of. I'll put it this way. He's being accused. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he did it. I'm saying he's being accused. And he's saying one thing, his accuser is saying another. So we're just going to... I was not even sure if I should report on this, but everyone's talking about it, so
sure.
Go ahead. Acclaimed author Neil Gaiman is facing multiple allegations of sexual assault, making him the subject of a police complaint in New Zealand. Gaiman has offered a response as well, refuting the accusations. Per Tortoise Media, 2 women have accused Gaiman of sexual assault while in consensual relationships with the author. The allegations go back 2 decades, but they were first reported in the Tortoise's podcast Master, the allegations against Neil Gaiman, which was released on Wednesday. The women describing the allegations of rough and degrading sex, alleging that these instances were not always consensual. One of the 2 accusers, a 23-year-old woman named Scarlett, claims she was sexually assaulted in February 2022, just hours after meeting Gaiman. According to Scarlett, the assault happened in a bath at Gaiman's New Zealand home, where she was hired to work as a nanny for his child. Gaiman said that the 2 merely cuddled and made out that day, adding that a 3-week sexual relationship ensued, but was entirely consensual. Scarlett insists that Gaiman was rough and degrading, and reportedly messages, notes, and accounts from friends support her allegations. Another accuser, identifying herself as Kay, says that she was an 18-year-old fan when she first met Gaiman at a book signing in Sarasota, Florida in 2003. Kay claims that she began a romantic relationship with Gaiman after she turned 20, resulting in engaging in rough sex that she neither wanted nor enjoyed. It's alleged that one particular incident saw Gaiman forcefully, doing something to her.
Yeah.
Gaiman has denied this claim. You can read it in the article. Gaiman has denied this claim as well. The Sandman author maintains that his relationship with Kay was never unlawful and that he's disturbed to be accused of such behavior. According to Gaiman, Kay's allegations stem from regret over the relationship she had when it was over. He also attributed Scarlett's allegations to the condition she has that's associated with false memories, but the Tortoise report noted that this isn't supported by the accuser's medical records. So, okay. I don't know. Additional, Gaiman has strongly denied all allegations of non-consensual sex at any time, with the women accusing him of sexual assault. He also claimed that New Zealand police ignored his offer for assistance with one woman's complaint in 2022, suggesting that shows a lack of substance in the investigation. New Zealand officers have responded by saying that they made a number of attempts to speak to key people as part of this investigation, and those efforts remain ongoing. It was added that there are a number of factors to take into consideration with this case, including location of all parties. Gaiman has long been one of pop culture's most revealed authors, bringing to life acclaimed stories like The Sandman, Good Omens, and American Gods. Just recently, Netflix had been promoting the upcoming second season of The Sandman, which is based on Gaiman's source material. He also executive produces the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is out there. I figured we'd make you aware of it. And yeah, deleted scene says it's always the male feminist. Well, he is refuting this, and they're saying it is.
Well,
so I guess the
see, this is the funny thing too. Sometimes when you listen to the accusation, the accusation sometimes is almost a defense, right? What I'm hearing here is, oh yeah, I was in a consensual romantic relationship with him, but the sex wasn't always good, and it was sometimes demeaning, and I didn't like that. Okay, so this is like other accusations that I've heard against other people. I entered into a consensual sexual relationship, but it didn't go good for me. I didn't enjoy it, and so now I'm having buyer's remorse, and so now suddenly I'm going to call it SA. Well, I'm sorry you didn't like it, but you consented at the time, and then after the fact, when it wasn't to your liking, now you're withdrawing consent after the fact.
What was the show that was the government version of The Office, where it was about government workers? Who was the actor on that?
Well, I don't know. It sounds good though.
Yeah,
sounds like something I'd be interested in now.
Yeah, you might have liked it actually. It was but I remember one of the actors in that was accused of some woman, anonymous woman, said that she slept with him but didn't really want to, but kind of agreed to it, and then this is a whole blown. His career got destroyed over it by a person who never even came forward, and it's like, I think even Ashley Banfield was angry about that.
Yeah,
and it was just.
Well, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
So I don't know. I guess the truth will come out at some point if the police are involved, right? There will be an investigation.
So over here in the background, if you heard some whispering, my wife did her Google foo, because that's her friggin' superpower, and that sketch that I said could not be found, Netter has apparently found it. So after the stream, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Let's see if I can put in the chat. No, I need 89 more characters.
Okay,
no, just for. I think you already did for it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I put in MeWe.
Awesome. That is so funny.
People are not guilty before proven innocence. We are not Cardassians. Ah, yes, Cardassians.
It was Mad TV, and yes, she did find it. Holy crap! I'm gonna
tell you what to look for, and then y'all can find it too.
Okay.
No, that's okay. I can actually share the shortened version of it. No problem. Yeah, I got it.
Razor. Okay, gotcha. But,
oh my gosh, this is so funny. Netter, you are. It really is a superpower.
Well, as soon as you said no one could find it, I'm like, watch me.
Yeah, it's her superpower. Okay, so there's the shortened version of the.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it was Mad TV. That's brilliant. I love it. I love it.
He had some brilliant sketches on it. I remember that. But here we go. Kevin Spacey to return Italian Nations Award for Lifetime Achievement. On July 21st, the two-time Oscar winner will be honored with Italy's Nations Award for Lifetime Achievement at a special gala in the historic southern Sicilian town of Taormina. I'm saying that right? I thought you might know because you're Italian, but okay, never mind.
No, you're right. I might, but I didn't have the article open, so let me take a look.
Taormina. I'm going to say Taormina. Okay.
Taormina. Yeah, that's correct.
The award is organized under the patronage of the Italian Senate and the state of Sicily. At the event, Spacey is also set to give an onstage performance at Taormina's historic Greek theater. Kevin Spacey is a timeless monument in film and theater history, who unquestionably deserves to get the chance to get his career back, said the award organizers Michael Corradolo and Marco Valenza. Mm-hmm. The honor comes as the usual suspects in American Beauty star continues to battle multiple allegations of sexual misconduct against him. Spacey has always denied all criminal charges. He was not found not guilty in sexual assault trials in the United States and the UK, but still faces new civil trial in Britain set for next year, brought by a man who claims the actor sexually assaulted him. A recent Channel 4 documentary, Stacey and Mess, resurfaced the allegations against him and shown a new light on other alleged abuse. The actor fired back denying the new allegations and saying would no would no longer be speechless. The first wave of allegations effectively ended Spacey's Hollywood career, who was unceremoniously dropped from the last season of Netflix's series House of Cards and replaced in the lead role of the Ridley Scott film All the Money in the World by Christopher Plummer. But Italy has continued to support him. In 2022, Italy's National Museum of Cinema in Turin invited Spacey to give a masterclass and celebrate his big screen comeback with a role in the Italian feature The Man Who Drew God, directed by Franco Nero, which premiered at the Torino Film Festival. I didn't even know that came out. Is that about Da Vinci?
I don't know. I'll have to look into it because it sounds interesting to me. But
yeah, I didn't know Franco Nero was directing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah, I have a lot of I hold Franco Nero in high esteem. So
yeah, and to be honest with you, I like Kevin Spacey's body of work, and I am still of the mind. I know this is not a popular opinion, but sorry, don't care. If you make an accusation, you got to prove it. If you fail to prove it, didn't happen. Sorry.
Okay.
That is just how jurisprudence works. My big problem is he was found not guilty in the United States and in the UK, and yet we allow it to go forward with a civil case. And it's like, I see this as a real problem in our legal system. If you don't have the proof, then you shouldn't be able to bring a civil case. What you're basically saying is, I know that legally he was found not guilty, but I think you should still award me money because I feel like I've been violated. And if you can get 12 people to agree, and they just might, because maybe they don't like Kevin Spacey, maybe they don't like rich people, maybe they just believe that anybody who's got deep pockets should just pay out.
He doesn't have the deep
I know that, but that doesn't matter, and it probably won't come up in a civil case.
People forget lawyers cost money. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's true, but
also not being able to work.
This is not how juries think. They think famous means wealthy. Wealthy means take it from him to give to this person. I don't know what happened, and they don't have to prove it, but I'm going to award money anyway. This is how these civil cases are going. So
this is what he said in his defense. He is a gay man. I think he kind of kept that on the down low. I think some younger actors were propositioning them, and he went ahead and slept with them, but they didn't get the things they wanted, like a career boost, which I don't think he necessarily thought was part of the deal anyway, but that's what he said, at least. This is what I got the impression from what he said. Not that I'm trying to misrepresent him if I got that wrong. That's what I had the impression of. And I think also, I remember at the time when all the Me Too stuff was happening, he finally came out and said, look, I'm gay. And then, but I guess people were angry at him too, because I don't know, maybe because he was in the closet, he didn't reveal it to the public, so that didn't help him when he said that.
Which is a shame, because it's none of anybody's business.
Yes.
You know? His personal life is his, and it's like he's forced to out himself. It's like, look, I don't care that he's gay. That has nothing to do with my opinion of his body of work. And as far as his relationships, this is another example of someone went into a consensual relationship with him, believing they would get something out of it, didn't get what they thought they would get out of it, so now retroactively it was, a coercive SA kind of thing. I'm sorry, I don't have any sympathy for someone who goes into a relationship expecting anything other than ba-doom.
What most people don't realize, most civil lawsuits are not jury trials, they are usually judge deciding. Interesting.
Which, well, yeah, and see, that's a problem too, because unfortunately we have a corrupt judiciary. We're seeing that a lot lately.
So where is this civil thing happening? In England? So I guess...
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, he's getting that award, though. Italy, I really want to see Italy, and not to say they're not making movies now. I love Italian movies. I've said this on a number of occasions. I want them to become a force again. Make it happen, Italy. We need your help. Your only hope. Okay.
By the way,
Yes.
I don't remember. Was it David Pensack or JPRPH1? One of you two. I got to look back at my emails. You reached out to me about some commentary about foreign films, specifically horror films, that we were talking about on last call. I will get that information to you. Boomer refreshed my memory. Now I remember. We did a series
Yes, it was about looking for stuff across the pond.
In other countries.
Did we do something on Scandinavian countries?
We did Scandinavian countries.
We did Korea.
We basically did Asian countries because
countries,
there was some Chinese and Japanese films we wanted to put in there too.
I know I did.
And we did a bunch of Italy too. So yeah, give me a chance to go back to those films. You
might have done Europe
for
one of the streams, and I did the Italian version of Europe. That might have been
yeah. And it wasn't that we were focusing on horror, but it just so happens that we had seen a lot of horror films that were foreign films. So yeah, I'll find those streams for you and send you the links. It was me, JPRPH1. He's like, it was me. Okay, that's fine. I'll get that to you,
it's a bucket list. If I could visit any country first, it would be Italy, and I have to brush up on some Italian.
Yeah, I've been saying that most of my life, but I'll be honest with you. The more I see about Italy, the more I think my impression of it and what it actually is are two very different things.
I'm worried about that too, but apparently he had a friend who went to Rome. You can buy a house in Italy right now, and the Italian government will help you. What?
Yeah, again, don't think I want to live there. Don't think I want to live there. It seems like a place I might like to visit. Don't want to live there.
Really?
Yeah. If you can get a house cheap in another country, there's probably a reason for it.
Hey, look, man.
I know these stories. They are rundown homes that have pretty much been abandoned.
Don't care.
Because no one's living in them. The government is selling them for real cheap, so you'll fix them up and you'll live there, so they'll help population again.
Right. And then, of course, as the value goes up, as you improve it, the taxes go up, and yeah.
And it was the last resting place of Mater Tenebrarum, the Mother of Darkness, or something.
Okay, there you go. I see where you're going with this story.
For another stream, okay.
Right.
Okay, Skydance Media and National Amusement.
Yeah, we almost had to talk about this just because we've talked about the lead-ups to this, and now we've got some more news, so this is more or less just an update for you.
Feel free to interrupt me at any point, because the thing goes on for a while. Okay, maybe I'll try to do the highlights. Let's see. This is a big thing, though. There's so much in this, though, so I don't even know what to skip.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost summarize it and say, well, they scored a deal. It's done.
PAC still needs approval by the studio's board special committee. Paramount expected to get a 45-day window to shop for better offers. What?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. In a holiday week shocker, Skydance Media and Cherry Redstone's National Amusements quietly renewed acquisition talks that have reached a tentative agreement to acquire Paramount Global. That deal will now be revealed by Paramount Global Special Committee of its board of directors that has steered the media giant through its roller coaster ride of M&A activity and speculation since late last year. Because they keep messing up. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that. They brought Beavis and Butthead back. That was good, right? You don't care about.
I'm not a fan, but I know it's got its fans.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, a source close to the situation said Skydance still balked at National Amusement's request that the company's non-controlling shareholders get a chance to vote on the deal. The hope was that approval of the majority of the common shareholders would help indemnify Redstone from the inevitable shareholder lawsuits. Redstone owns some 77% of the voting shares at Paramount. Common shareholders were quick to criticize the terms of Skydance deal that were leaked out on media April and May. Okay, what does this mean? It means that they're probably going to buy it, right?
Yeah, that's what. Well, I mean, at this point, that's what it looks like. I am, unfortunately, I didn't finish it before tonight. Sorry, I tried. I had a lot on my plate.
What?
I am trying to do a deep dive into this and dig through a lot of this. Obviously,
a lot of shoe leather. That's the problem.
You're kind of right. Yeah. And this is obviously because this is Paramount. As a Star Trek fan, I start looking at this and going, what does this mean for Star Trek? If it means anything. So that is part of the deep dive that I have to do on this.
Hey.
And I will come back and either in the coming weeks as we see more from the news outlets about this, I'll have more to share, or maybe I will talk about this on a Friday night because
how did the Discovery finale go?
Oh, screw it, I didn't see it. I haven't watched since
it's funny because nobody talks about things after a while because everyone's on the Acolyte right now. Like people, like there was the whole big thing about the new Doctor Who, and that would normally be outrage, but now people just don't care anymore.
I don't. I have not seen. I have not seen. I've said this before. I haven't seen Doctor Who since the Unholy Child or whatever the hell that was. I haven't seen. I certainly haven't seen any of the Acolyte. I didn't see the last season of Ahsoka. I've pretty much checked out of Disney Star Wars completely. And I have not watched Discovery since I think the third season. I watched some of the third season because I was liking the what they were doing with the Klingons after a certain point. It's like I felt like the Klingons, they kind of like were trying to un-F themselves.
Are you talking about Discovery or
Discovery?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I've stayed away from Strange New Worlds. I was somewhat interested when someone sent me some screen captures from a Klingon episode from that, but then they did the musical episode, and I'm like, screw it. I'm not even touching this.
You did make a comment, though, that the uniforms were correct.
The uniforms looked, I don't know if I'd say correct, but I liked them. They looked like a good, somewhere between original series and movie series. I could see that uniform, so I liked it. It looked
like a good transitional take,
yes.
like a good combo. It's possible, to be fair, the production side of things on those series may be fine, like the sets and even like how they do some of the creatures, but it's just...
Sashi says, is anyone watching STD? And smiley face. Look, the diehards are saying, don't call it STD, call it disco. I'm like, that's not better. That is not better.
People are still furious about
the timeless child. Yes, that's what I meant. Look, anything that breaks the canon, it tells me this is not that thing I loved anymore. It's not, after the timeless child, it's no longer Doctor Who. Once you started Star Trek Discovery, that is not Star Trek anymore. Okay? And I'm sorry, from what I'm hearing of the Acolyte, it ain't Star Wars anymore, so I'm done.
Hey, let me read it. I'm going to read from the end of this article, though. At the end of, at the same time, Paramount has not been without successes. The studio had a box office hit this past weekend with a strong opening for A Quiet Place Day 1. Okay. The return of Jon Stewart to The Daily Show helm has brought that show and cable or Comedy Central to its highest viewership in years. And CBS has been on a roll this season with strong turnouts for mega events, including Super Bowl and Grammy Awards and bona fide first-year drama hit in Tracker. I've heard of Tracker. It stars the actor who played the Green Arrow on Smallville. He's on it.
Oh,
he's the Tracker.
Okay.
It's like a guy that it's like a show where he like someone gets lost in the like the Catskills, and he has to go track them down and find them. It's one of those things. So it's like, I think it's a nature. I mean, maybe it goes into other things besides him just finding people that are lost in wilderness, but that seemed to be what the premise was.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that might be a good series. I mean, again, there's this. I thought the new CSI Vegas is a good return to its return to form.
Look, I am not going to poo-poo whatever successes they're saying
NCIS
they have.
Sydney.
My problem is that I don't think the successes they're citing are enough to make up for the shortcomings, which could be something going on behind the scenes in the negotiations that we're talking about here. So,
okay. So there we go. And from Skydance to Skynet. You like that?
That was clever. That was clever.
You like
and
that?
Considering I put this read order together, that was just a coincidence, or that was just a happy accident. So good on you, man.
Pop said Tracker was decent unless he changed his mind in later episodes. Yeah, Pops does good commentary on TV. If you want to check out his channel. And I remember you were on his channel.
Oh, I've been on frequently. Yeah, it's a
Mandalorian
it's a great
season 3. Remember? I was watching you and Ned are on there, and I was like, you were showing a clip, and it was the romance between the two species, and I was like, what is going on here? And then like you and Ned are like, it's Romeo and Juliet in Star Wars. It's like
and Pops is great for dropping little 30-second clips, and I'll be like, hey, that's me. He gets a lot of mileage out of some of my little mini rants.
Real quick, Connie Clear, you and me both. That's all I'm going to say on that. Terminator Zero creators take Netflix show back to its roots. Yeah. So, we'll see, because I've heard this claim before.
Yeah, good point.
The upcoming Terminator Zero series for Netflix will release in late August. According to the creative team, the new Terminator anime is taking the franchise back to its horror roots. In an interview with Empire showrunner Mattson Tomlin, revealed his approach to the new animated Terminator. I want to lean into that body horror serial killer feel of the first film, Tomlin said, which was almost like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Not exactly, but...
Wait a minute. Let me try to digest that for a second. Body horror serial killer vibe. That's not what I got from Terminator.
Well, there was that part where he's in the club hunting her. It's kind of creepy, I'll say that, at night.
Okay.
Let's keep an open mind. They call me the boomer. Okay.
Well, and when he says what you keep using that word serial killer, I don't think it means what you think it means.
Masashi Kudo, the director of Terminator Zero, also explained how the show is taking elements from Japanese cinema. The series also incorporates Japanese horror elements. We focus on emphasizing darkness and determining what to show and what to leave unseen. This isn't sounding like Terminator the more I think.
Yeah, it's starting to sound more and more like that Batman anime thing you were talking about.
Hey, you shut up.
Earlier.
I liked it. I don't care.
Then you'll probably like whatever this is.
I'll die on that hill. Giant bat robot fighting giant Joker robot at the end, made out of a castle, and it's fine.
Oh my god.
It's fine, and there's like this weird Japanese rap. I don't care. I liked it. It was weird. I liked it. I don't care. Terminator Zero takes place in Japan in the year 1997, where a Japanese scientist named Malcolm Lee is targeted by those fighting in the future war over his AI creations intended to fight back against Skynet. His life is now in the hands of future resistance fighter Eco, as a new Terminator voiced by Timothy Oliphant will stop at nothing until Malcolm is put down for good. Tomlin describes the show's new Terminator as very spooky and someone you do not want to meet in a dark alley. He's also given the internal nickname of Creepy Fishman. Tomlin goes in depth with his descriptions of Eco. The model for Eco was Kyle Reese. Her motives are gray at first, but she's hiding something meaningful. When it's revealed, it will hit audience like a fucking 2x4. Okay, I know. Production IG is the Japanese anime studio animating Terminator Zero. Kudo, the anime's director, has previously worked as a character designer on the webtoon Tower of God and Bleach Thousand Year Door. And it's set to premiere in August. Here's the blurb from Netflix. 2022. A future war has raged for decades between the few human survivors and an endless army of machines. 1997. The AI known as Skynet gained self-awareness and began its war against humanity. Caught between future and this past as a soldier sent back in time to change the fate of humanity. She arrives in 1997 to protect the scientist named Malcolm Lee, who works to launch a new AI system designed to compete with Skynet's impending attack on humanity. As Malcolm navigates the moral complexities of his creation, he is hunted by an unrelenting assassin from the future, which forever alters the fate of his 3 children. All right, so I'm assuming that someone in Japan knew that Skynet was going to become alive and mess up the world, so he's trying to create a competitive system to take it down.
Yeah,
and I guess he also honestly, becomes his own threat.
There are elements of what you just shared that sound interesting to me. I love the idea of a
someone in the modern day knowing that it's going to be a threat without
larger world building, right? Yeah. Possibly implications from time travel. You know, if you know something's going to happen in advance, you start working on something else. Other countries were affected by this thing, so certainly other countries would have their own stories to tell.
And it's interesting that maybe someone in Japan visited Skynet or something. Maybe he was a scientist working for another company, realizes, no, this thing is dangerous. You guys need to shut this down, and no one listens to him. So now he's trying to think of his own way to stop this thing before it comes online. And maybe then by doing that, he's another threat that Skynet knows about from the future. So I don't know. Maybe it might be interesting. We'll see. I don't know about this body horror approach. I don't know what that's about. I will say that Terminator, among many other American properties, had a lot of influence in anime in the 80s. Like, I think, a lot of the boomer robots in one of my favorite animes, Bubblegum Crisis, they had a very scary Terminator-esque vibe to them. So
I can see that. I do appreciate what Nate says here. He says, "Who asked for this? Do we need an animated Terminator?" Well, keep in mind, we got to stop saying who asked for this. The people that asked for it are the people that own the IP and are looking to squeeze as much money out of it as they can. That's who asked for it. As far as do we need an animated Terminator? No, but it might actually be better than a live action one. I mean, look at Animatrix, right? Definitely better than that last abortion of a film they gave us.
And Production IG, from their past work, they're a great animation studio in Japan. They made a lot of my favorite series like Pat Labor and Ghost in the Shell back in the day. I don't know who's at the helm now. I don't know if it's the same animators or they have new people working there, but they did have a pedigree. They always kind of made animation that their take on the world. It wasn't like chibi or cute. It was more like they were trying to go for a little more realism in how they portrayed the world. So we'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed. I'm interested. I'll give it a look when it comes. I mean,
part of me wants to say it can't be worse than Dark Fate or Genesis or whatever, but you know, every time I say something like that, people have a way of proving me wrong.
What happened to Emilia Clarke? I feel like she's not been in much since Game of Thrones.
I think that one really hurt her. It really did.
Yeah, but not the actor's fault.
No, it wasn't. But
she was in Solo. That's right. She was in Solo.
She had a horrible turn there because she went from there to Genesis.
She looked great in Solo.
From Genesis, she goes to Solo. Yeah. And that has just deflated her career.
That deflated a lot of people.
That was a triple whammy for her.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know they want you to pronounce it Genesis, but that's not how they wrote it. So that's
I always
not how
call it Genesis. I know it's Genesis. I always call it Genesis, just because that was. You know what it was?
Just like Fan Four Stick. I know it's supposed to be fantastic. It's not. It's
what Skynet was in Genesis? It was an app that you downloaded on your phone. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? We got to go modern Silicon
What's
Valley.
sad is this is another one of those examples of something that had a great deal of potential. You know, if you're going to do a story about artificial intelligence, draw from real world, concerns about artificial intelligence. And it looks like they were trying to do that, at least with the social media aspect of it and so forth. But it was poorly executed.
Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles was so much fun. I enjoyed that one more than I expected to. I liked the T-1000 in the season 2, the one Shirley Manson played, because she was still ruthless, and I wasn't so sure I think she still was a bad guy, but I think she didn't agree with Skynet trying to wipe out the human race. So she was also interfering with Skynet, but I think she had her own agenda. But I don't think she believed humanity should be wiped out. I think that was the difference between her and Skynet. But she was still ruthless and didn't mind killing humans when it was convenient. But I think it was about...
What movie was it? I don't want to see the Earth destroyed. It's where I store my stuff.
What movie?
I don't remember. I just remember that, and it's been quoted in others since then. I don't know.
Sounds like something the Master wanted to destroy the Earth, so that's not the case with him. That was a pet project of his during the Pertwee era. How do I destroy the Earth?
Right. Exactly.
And I don't know why. What's in it for him if he does it? I guess he's just nuts. But here we go. Geeky Geezers. This is it for us. What do we got coming up at 5 past midnight? The Other Side of Midnight, perhaps?
The Other Side of Midnight. Dropping a link there for you over on Deleted Scenes. It's The Other Side of Midnight, number 59.
Yes.
Always a great way to wind down your weekend.
I'm sure there'll be some great guests on tonight. I don't know if one of the ones in the chat might be Sin's Corner, if she's going to be on tonight, or I know she's stopped.
I believe that Sin's going to be there. I think Connie and Curtis Helby.
Excellent. I can be there on occasion, too, when I don't have to get up super early.
I know, man.
Tomorrow's the earlier day,
You're such a geezer. You got to get your sleep.
I do. I'm sorry. When you get older, you have to. All you kids in your 20s, enjoy your all-nighters while you can do them, especially if you're in college.
He's right.
When you hit your 30s, you can't do it anymore.
He's not wrong.
Yes.
He is not wrong.
Good
Tomorrow
to see.
night,
And do check out Sin Corner's channel too. She has
absolutely.
her own channel as well.
Absolutely.
And
Curtis
maybe,
Selby's.
you know what, for the heck of it, maybe I'll try giving the Snyder Cut a watch just out of curiosity.
That's fair.
I think I get it through Max. Anyway, what else is going on this week?
Tomorrow night, last call's Monday night at the movies. I have an Independence Day musical double feature. We'll be bringing you Yankee Doodle Dandy with James Cagney, followed by 1776 with the voice of Kit.
You know, I got to see a play version of that once when I was younger. It was put on in the when I lived in New Jersey. The local playhouse put it on one time, and I saw it.
I saw a local version as well. Yeah,
it's good times.
Yep.
And then there's I'm trying to think. On Tuesday we have a stream, don't we?
Wait. Sashi said Emilia Clarke was in Secret Invasion. You're right. I saw that.
Oh, she keeps having hit after hit.
That was the show where
that was the acolyte of the MCU.
The picture leaked of her with the Quagmire arm that everyone was making fun of. Yeah, no, that did not help her at all. That did not help her at all.
People got angry because they said Rhodes said he was replaced before Civil War or something. Does that mean it wasn't Rhodes fighting in the final battle in Avengers Endgame? You know, the Iron Patriot.
I don't know.
War Machine. Anyway, but yeah, so
sounds
Tuesday,
like a meta reference. I think they were going for the recasting thing.
Tuesday we were going to continue with the Twin Peaks: The Return, the second part of the first part.
Absolutely.
Which I am looking forward to because there's some weirdness going on that show.
I'll try to help you all out with that, although I'm still digesting it myself.
That only David Lynch can deliver, yes. Maybe Cronenberg can deliver that kind of weirdness too, but definitely David Lynch. I want to hear David Cronenberg on David Lynch now. I wonder if they either have commented on the other's work. Interesting.
That would be, yeah.
So moving on, nothing Wednesday this week.
Right.
On
Thursday, I didn't update it on the notes, but Netter does have a guest this week. It will be
Ryan Roger
Athe to talk about the rising stars that he's been talking to lately. It's going to be that ought to be a lot of fun. He was instrumental at the very beginning of my channel, Netter's channel, even Deleted Scenes channel. So good stuff there.
He's grown by leaps and bounds too. But you've had him on Friday night at times too.
I have occasionally, it's a little harder for him being the other side of the pond there, but he's a trooper. He's been there. Yeah,
lives in Wales.
Yep. And then Friday, well, actually, let's back up a second. After Thursday Things, Netter's Network, of course, Deleted Scenes, will be telling you what he's got coming up throughout the weekend on his weekend update. But then jump over to Friday for Last Call, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, where Boomer and I will be inviting back Beyond the Hub podcast, who was so kind to join us last week, talking about urban legends. He will be joined by Big Al of Big Al Presents, because we will be talking about cryptids. They are both big subject matter experts on this particular topic, and you guys are going to tell me about some weird cryptids that I've never heard of, but you guys will educate me a little bit, and
it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it will be fun.
Lore stream going on, and
then speaking of Big Al, Saturday, of course, he is hosting Big Al Presents Films with Friends. That's 9 Central, 10 Eastern, where we'll be watching the 1985 John Cusack film Better Off Dead, which honestly, I don't remember if I've seen that or not. I probably did.
It's an excellent movie. I always see it as a January watch, though, for some reason. But no, Better Off Dead is a classic 80s comedy. You'll have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I think I probably seen it, but I just
Saturday?
don't remember. That's Saturday, yeah. You want to see if you can't...
Well, I can't make any promises, but I'll think about it. I'll let you know when we get closer to the weekend. That's
awesome.
Yeah. All right. Talk to y'all later.
Take care, guys.
Y'all have a good week. Be sure to check out Unscripted before next week's stream.
Yep.
And yeah, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.